revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised.
What is in your life's blueprint?
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Please make sure you just come in here, like the video, share it out, subscribe to the channel. This video is going to be all things Karmelo Anthony, plus other things surrounding this whole race issue. The question of today is, are Black Americans done turning the other cheek? That is the question, okay? We've been living in this bubble of a nonviolent approach to everything. Police can beat us, neighborhood people, Mr. Child can shoot our kids, and we just don't do anything about it but just walk, protest, or vandalize, or burn down property or some shit like that. So I feel like history always repeats itself. From the Supreme Court undoing the Voters' Right Act Section 2, the mapping, the midterm coming up, forced drafts are coming up, everything that's going on in Iran right now. If Israel has the balls to strike Turkey, we're into World War III. But simultaneously, are we going to be heading towards a civil war here in America? My whole thing is, like, I'm all pro people, but some things are inevitable. So the question for today is, are Black Americans done turning the other cheek? Is niggas gonna grow some balls? And I'm not talking about in the case of Karmelo Anthony to stab someone and then just run away. Like, are we gonna really stand for something or fall for everything that they throw our way? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. What's up? Good morning, Taylor Indra. I greatly appreciate you for being here. Deb, I greatly appreciate you for being here. OMG, I greatly appreciate you for being here as well. I need 100% of everybody who's watching this on YouTube to like the video, okay? We took a major dip from a major copyright strike to, you know, other things that's going on, and we're building ourselves over. And a part of that is me falling back in love with covering true crime cases and true crime issues. So it's one of them live streams to where we're going to be a bit political. You know, they say race is not a factor in the Karmelo Anthony case. And I told you guys yesterday I did a whole video for 3 hours, and this is before lunch over in Collin County where the case is happening. And I knew for a fact that there would not be any Black jurors serving on that particular case, simply because the demographic makeup, and also they don't like to give brothers any Black juror. Okay, people feel like Black people are controversial and problematic on his face. And when you have a situation where there's a Black boy who looks 13, 14 years old that committed a crime, ain't nobody gonna advocate for him, but people that look like him are the people that can understand and reason with his background and show him empathy. Many people speculate that this situation with Karmelo Anthony is just a get back. Okay, he took one of them, so they got to take one of ours. That's what people are saying from a racial lens, regardless if it's a situation of race, regardless if Karmelo Anthony had committed a crime against somebody else Black. Systemic racism is extremely, very real out here in these streets. And we must not forget that, okay? We must not forget that systemic racism is a solid body of a solid machine that's been going on for a very long time. Karmelo Anthony is young, and they're looking at him like, okay, well, we give you life in prison, you're a young body, and we can make a lot of money off of you doing that sweat equity, and or with the forced drafts coming up, who knows? Karmelo Anthony might actually get the sympathy card, or is it a sympathy card, to use him as the poster child to say, hey, you know, you did something extremely wrong. You're young, you're able. We got the forced drafts coming up. How about we just send you to the military? We send you to we send you to Iran. Be boots on the ground, foot soldier out there, and don't know they got some big ass mountains, and everything in Iran that's important is hidden in those mountains. As you go into territories and they just using you as a Black body out there to get bombed up, done up. And that's what's going to happen, honestly, especially given the fact that we're headed towards World War III. So this is my prediction and my conspiracy. So there's no solid proof to prove it, but we all seen what happened during COVID-19, how they use Damar Hamlin as a poster child for the athletes that, you know, could recover from COVID-19 and what's happening to him, right? They're always looking for somebody black to be used as a poster child for something. So, given the fact that yesterday the jurors and prospective jurors and even the ones that got chosen, they was looking at Karmelo saying, "We don't want you to go to prison at all, or at least serve all of this time." Well, again, I think that he's going to get the sympathy card, and they're going to use him to kind of be in opposition to, the Muhammad Ali protesting and speaking out against going to Vietnam. They need to figure out a way to get young black bodies over there in Iraq during this fourth draft with the least resistance. And Carmelo Anthony might actually just be that poster child. That's just my prediction. Honestly, that's just my prediction. Who knows? Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. What's up, Dominic? Thank you so much for being here and supporting me and everything. We're going to get this show on the road and cover everything Carmelo Anthony as well as other things, like I said, in contextualizing of this. Dominic, real quick, how do you feel about there's no black jurors on Carmelo Anthony's trial? And did you suspect that this would happen?
Well, I definitely expected for this to happen in the town in Collins County where it's actually taking place. I mean, 62% as opposed to the 10% of us that are there. 100%. 100% definitely expected for this to happen. I'm not surprised at all in the least bit, by the least bit. At this juncture, the only thing that we, as spectators can do is just to watch and to remain prayerful about this young man and his fate when it comes to justice in this country. So, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And good morning to you as well.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for popping in. We're here. It's definitely quality over quantity when it comes to these type of discussions because we need to have them before it's too late, before someone is triggered and enraged. So without further ado, let's get into some of the things that happened this morning outside of the why am I saying Colin Kaepernick? The Collins Courthouse. According to Sip Cubs 2 on X.com, some guy just started blowing a horn outside the Carmelo Anthony trial. My whole thing is, what's the purpose of blowing a horn? I mean, when we think about people blowing horns, it's time for war. It's, the British are coming, or, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, is this a threat? What does this mean exactly? And then on top of that, even if it has some meaning to it, like, what's the game plan? Niggas was up in arms and hooting and hollering yesterday, and now they're a little bit humbler outside the court, given the fact that there's no black people on the jury. I feel like all of these niggas out there doing this shit, they made it worse for Carmelo. You think the judge and the police inside the court wasn't reporting to the judge what was happening outside? Those prospective jurors, I don't know if they're coming through a secret tunnel to get into the courthouse. You think they don't know what's going on in their neighborhood and they're not concerned? I feel like they made it worse for Carmelo Anthony. And history always repeats itself, especially with black people living under this nonviolent approach. Like the white people, they're not going to lose any sleep because you're mad and because you're up hooping and hollering and protesting when, we have no political power and we have no power, no representation on the trial fact in this Carmelo Anthony case. I just don't fully understand that. Another post, Carmelo supporter appears to have been removed due to dress code violation. I would ask, but they won't talk to me. So says this white gentleman. And this is somebody who has on an armored fatigue, look like a dress with some sneakers. I mean, are you supposed to come business attire, or are they just picking and plucking out anybody and saying, hey, get out of this courthouse or whatever? What is the dress code? I mean, women wear dresses all the time. I feel like she was targeted, honestly. I mean, if I was on trial, I wouldn't wear no outfit like what she has on. But if I'm just a perspective, if I'm just going there to watch the case, then that's what it is. I guess because the dress is above her kneecaps, she got kicked out. So I don't know, but it looks like they're gonna want to kick out any and all black people anyways. Ain't none on the jury. So another update, Karmelo Anthony trial update. There are far more people here this morning. The doors aren't even open yet, and there's already a line spanning the front of the courthouse. The public is much more evenly split between Austin supporters and Karmelo supporters. Like, why does it have to be Austin supporters and Karmelo supporters? What happens to just anybody that are they're just interested in true crime case? I hate the fact that anybody white that shows up there just to do a job as a reporter, they're going to be classified as a Karmelo supporter or not. This is that pick a side shit going on. And there's definitely a lot of people there. And I remember Nika Nyquil yesterday, she made a post saying that it's first come, first serve outside, and you have to get there early. And I guess the more heated up this is, people got to get there. I feel like anybody that's black that understands law, not just because you're passionate about the case, but if you understand law, it should be your job and your duty to go in there to figure out what the prosecutors are saying and doing, as well as the defense, and pointing out where objections should have been made, where objections should have been sustained or overturned, where, evidence introduced that should not have been introduced. For instance, we seen that yesterday when I was covering the Mr. Child case, how they introduced the photo of Cyrus, who had a blicky in his hand, and there was just this pussy ass police officer that's been on the police force for 25 years, and his testimony alone gave validation to this came from Instagram, and this was posted the day before, and there's this video. They didn't show the video, they didn't show the actual Instagram post, they just showed a picture that looked like AI of Cyrus holding a blicky to paint it and point it on him. I also seen where Mr. Child's son, Andy Child, testified that the pow that they recovered from Cyrus had a silver bearing, and it was black with a silver bearing, and the pow that they had in court was black with a black bearing. And the district attorney, who happened to be a black man, did not push and further elaborate that Andy was telling lies and he was giving conflicting statements and important details, like whether the gun had a silver bearing or black bearing. Those are important details mixed with the fact that they didn't really substantiate and lay a foundation for this photo that they claimed Cyrus with the gun. I just feel like that case was thrown, and there was a lot of prosecution of misconduct, and there was a lot of co-conspiracy against Cyrus, and the goal was to demonize this black boy, and that's definitely the goal right now. And then to see and we're going to get to that in a little bit, but what I'm saying here is that at the end of the day, if you don't know motherfucking law, you just going for a show and you're in court writing notes and don't fully understand what you're doing, like a Nika Nyquil, then why are you there? Like, get out of the way. You're just wasting up space. You're wasting time. I don't like people who go to court cases and don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And the only thing that they can do is actually sensationalize the case, opposed to breaking the law down, breaking the facts down, seeing the systemic racism, seeing the injustices that's happening right before our eyes. And they just act like this stuff don't exist because they're not educated. They just want the clout. They want the clicks and the views. And from what I see from YouTubers that like to cover court cases, they're not getting more views than usual or more than expected, like how it happened at the Diddy trial. So I guess they'll gas out, or they feel like that's just going to pay their bills and they just want to be there for whatever purposes, but they're not doing a good job. Another update, RLD's Russell Scott is live outside the Collin Courthouse as opening statements get underway this morning in the high-profile Karmelo Anthony unalivement trial. 1 year after the fatal stabbing at the Frisco track meet, the case that has been gripping North Texas. Let me play this and let me get into what we should hear, expect in the rules and regulations dealing with opening statements.
The trial is attracting attention from all over the country. There are reporters here from LA Times, New York Times, Court TV's here, CNN is here, and all of the local media are here. I'm told 200 media outlets applied for credentials, but there are only 8 seats available inside the courtroom behind me. The trial gets underway at 9 o'clock this morning. We'll be following all of the details for you on News Radio 1080.
Oh, we good. That was just some promo shit. So, as I said yesterday, I really don't want Karmelo Anthony to be found guilty. But because I have a sound mind when it comes to law and I understand how this stuff goes, I'm really looking forward to the defense introducing new evidence or in their opening statement, because see, the opening statements basically summarizes all of the evidence that they're going to present throughout the trial. It's going to summarize the evidence from the witness standpoint, from the defense, like the actual defense theory, the witnesses they plan on calling, and or just every piece of evidence that you can get into the case. So this opening statement from the defense, I'm really, really, really looking forward to hearing, because it will give me an idea about what type of evidence in the full scope of the defense that will be presented for the next week and a half of this trial. Did you want to say anything, Dominique? And I also want to say that there's some lies being told in public record about Karmelo Anthony that contradicts the police report. And I have to correct that from yesterday. But do you guys understand what opening statement is and how important it is? Let me know in the comment section below on YouTube. And if somebody had anything to say on Clubhouse, go ahead and raise your hand, come up to the stage, or say it, or we're just going to move forward with the content that we have before us. I'm going on mute. Austin Metcalf. Okay. All right. So let's get to opening arguments now set underway. Let me play this really quick.
Murder trial of Karmelo Anthony. He is the Texas teen
acquitted based on testimony and, circumstantial evidence that could prove that it was self-defense. However, being a black man myself and also understanding how words matter, and how we typically respond to threats matter, right? He did not respond to the threat as though he was in fear for his life, but he responded as though if this happens, I'm going to retaliate. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to saying, I fear for my life, don't touch me. So I just pray that it all works out in his favor, him and his family's favor, because again, this is a young black.
I don't know if that's my device or yours, Dominique, but you're cutting out. Let me know if you guys can hear Dominique fully in the chat, or is he cutting out? All right, let me go ahead and play this really quickly. You guys can hear me? Can you guys hear Dominique, or did he cut out? I'm sorry. I hate production flaws and mistakes. Let me play this.
Track meet last year. Brooke Taylor. And right now, opening arguments are set to begin in the closely watched murder trial of Karmelo Anthony. He is the Texas teen accused of fatally stabbing another student at a high school track meet last year. Brooke Taylor is following this story for us. She is live in Dallas. Good morning, Brooke.
Hi, Jackie. This has become a high-profile case. More than 100 people showed up to court today, but many of them were turned away because there's limited seating here. So defense attorneys for Karmelo Anthony, they are expected to argue self-defense, while prosecutors say that he provoked this attack and he brought a knife to a high school track meet. So it all started when prosecutors say that 17-year-old Austin Metcalf asked Karmelo Anthony to leave a team tent during a high school track meet back in April of 2025. They say the confrontation quickly escalated, ending when Anthony pulled out a knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest, killing him. Now, Anthony has pleaded not guilty to murder. Race has become a major issue surrounding this case. It was even front and center during jury selection. Several jurors, they were dismissed after raising concerns about whether they were able to be impartial. Supporters, meanwhile, they have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars online to help for Anthony's legal defense.
The state of Texas requires, that says that you have a right to defend yourself, then we should be able to defend ourselves no matter what the race is, what background you come from.
Well, prosecutors, though, say Metcalf was unarmed when he was stabbed. His twin brother, who was with him during this confrontation, previously spoke to Fox, describing the moment before his brother died in his arms.
I whip my head around, and then all of a sudden I see him run down the bleachers, grabbing his chest. I push my hand on there, try to make it stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked in his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too.
And a judge initially set Anthony's bond to $1 million, but slashed that just to $250,000. He has been on house arrest awaiting trial, Jackie.
My whole thing is, I feel like, and this is me, like, I guess being I don't want to say the devil's advocate, no pun intended, but people really did not pour into Austin Metcalf's mother's pain, because Karmelo Anthony's mothers came out and gave this speech, and she was very emotional, and it definitely triggered black mothers. But what about white mothers who empathize with her, right? I know black people, we are very emotional a lot, and because we have the tendency to be a bit more emotional, sometimes we can minimize the emotional impact that white people have, because they're trained completely different from the patriotic system opposed to the matriotic system that the black community lives in, right? So I just want to highlight that two mothers in this situation, both of their sons are lost in a sense, okay? One of them has a son that's gone and that will never opportunity, the ideology of him having kids and going off to college, that is Austin Metcalf, that is lost and that is gone in the physical world completely. Even in the spiritual world, he's no longer here. I'm pretty sure he transitioned over. And then on the flip side, a lot of people don't understand that when you have a child that's in the court of law, no matter if it's a felony or misdemeanor, it's always, it's like a form of grieving, because that child also is not there in the physical and is going to miss out on time, places, opportunity to procreate, and a lot of times going to pass. Birthdays are going to be missed. People are going to more than likely pass away while they're incarcerated. That causes significant pain as well. So I don't think the general public understands that both of these mothers are grieving, and both of them have in a way lost their child. Even if Karmelo Anthony is found not guilty, he's going to be ostracized publicly. You know, we live in a white man world where all these corporations are ran and owned by white people. He's not going to be able to get a regular job. Somebody out there is going to look up his background, and even though he was found not guilty, they're still going to have a personal feeling about what he did. So his life is ruined, even in the sense if he's found not guilty and get out. Very similar to George Zimmerman, who was found not guilty for unaliving Trayvon Martin. He can't get a job. He can't go out in public and be a normal person. He's infamous. Karmelo Anthony is infamous as well, across the board, no matter what industry he tries to go into. So I just want to say that we cannot minimize the pain, the suffering, the lost memories, and the grief that Austin Metcalf's mother is faced with every single day. I want to put that into perspective. Did you guys have anything to say about the difference or the similarities between grieving over a child that's no longer here and then grieving over a child that's probably going to face life in prison? Okay, anybody got the floor if you guys wanted to speak about it? If not, I'll just move on.
I don't think he's gonna be found not guilty though, because that's just not the way the world works. And I'm so tired of them harvesting our energy over the same shit over and over again. Either way it go, both mothers lost their child regardless. It's a sad situation, but it happens every day. It literally happens every day. They need to start getting more involved in these young men's lives. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I also see comments. Shout out to Penny Pickle. Thank you so much for tuning in. I got supporters that only tune in when I talk about important issues, and then I got another set of supporters that only tune in with his drama. Crazy. But anyways, Penny Pickle said, I'm black, but I can't see how he took a life and won't get some time. And I think that's the big question here, or that I think everyone concedes to the fact that he took a life and he deserves some form of punishment. And I think the worst thing that his mother could have done was bailed him out instead of letting him sit there for a year or whatever so that he could get the public sympathy of being a kid that spent a year and a half, 2 years in jail. And maybe he could have gotten, a verdict that reflects that, okay, yeah, he did this. I think he served enough time, 2 years in jail. Is that enough? So that basically would have played a role in whether he's guilty or not. The fact that he was able to go out and still be with his family and only spend a couple of days in jail, that weighs against you, like that totally weighs against you. Motherfuckers don't know, like you go to jail for a misdemeanor or a petty felony and you understand the law. You understand that even if you're found guilty for this case, they're going to sentence you to 30 days or 60 days. And then if you spent 30 days or 60 days already in jail and the prosecutor is like, it's time to take this to trial, they're going to look at how expensive this is going to be, opposed to, hey, he's already been in jail this whole time. Do we really want to put this strike on his record and spend all his money doing it? Or do we just want to drop this case because we already got the time? And no matter what happens during this trial, this person is going home anyways. That's a psychological thing that plays effect. But at the same time, everybody is not educated about the judiciary like me. So again, there's a situation right now with a young man called the DL Whisperer. He's locked up and he did not take probation. He's been locked up for months. And by the time he go to trial, I feel like they're just going to throw the case out because he's served time. But that's neither here nor there. We'll cover that later. I want to correct something that I said yesterday. So I've been looking at these public sites when it comes to Karmelo Anthony, his San Fernando high school record, and basically, how they create these sites where these high school and college athletes are recruited to play. They are publicly saying that Karmelo Anthony is 5'11" and 160 pounds. Multiple sites are saying that, and these are recruitment sites for athletes, and they have to be spot on about the height, about the weight, because that is very, very important, such as how fast they run in the 40-yard dash. If he runs a 4.7, you can't put a 4.5 because this is important information. His highlights is important, etc. So height and weight is very, very important when it comes to athleticism. And so they publicly in these sites have been referring to him as somebody that's 5'11", 160, which is just 1 inch shorter than Austin Metcalf. However, the police report says that he's 5'9" and 130 pounds. And I also heard Queen Sheba Darling, who's there on site, said she's seen him and said that he's about 5'8" or 5'9". So I feel like this whole time, these athletic sites, and whenever you Google Karmelo Anthony's name, these sites come up and you see the height and the weight, and it puts in the public mindset that this is not a small, short kid that's so timid, because if he was, then maybe I'll sympathize with him, with these two big ass meathead white boys, Austin and Hunter, the twins that go around the school thinking that they run shit. So I think that it is very problematic for the official police report, which is what is actually going to be used in the trial and important for this case, says that he's 5'9" and 130 in public records, such as the athletic recruitment site says that he's 5'11" and 160. That is, to be honest with you, kind of like a psyop. That's psychological warfare, because yesterday my opinion was like, hey, he's not so timid. He didn't have to do that. And now that I'm looking at this arrest report, I'm like, well, maybe he was definitely overpowered. And now I'm back to, I want to see, did Hunter actually jump in and help his brother? And his brother got stabbed because they was beating him up, and he's small. He was overpowered. That's very different than looking at a 5'11", 165-pound athlete versus somebody that's just a foot taller. So does that change your perspective with the height and size difference now that we finally actually see the police report, which is also public record, that basically says that he is a lot smaller than Austin and Hunter Metcalf? I'm going to go on mute.
Yeah, but even with speculation, we already knew that he was much smaller because I believe on yesterday it was said that he was 5'11", 162, which is still smaller than Austin and the other Metcalf brother. Um, so regardless of whether or not he's 5'8", 5'7", he's still smaller than those two. Henceforth, the reason why he resorted to the measures, those unfortunate measures that he resorted to, as far as puncturing the guy in his chest or heart, wherever so area, with a sharp object. I'm just going to say sharp object because there's speculation that it was a track spike, and then there are other people who are saying it was a knife. So I'm just going to say a sharp object and land there.
Well, I do want to say I did, in fact, hear multiple people from inside the courthouse say that the defense during jury selection has already stated and has been making a point that it was a small knife under 5 inches and tried to minimize it and say that it's not a crime to carry this small knife. And my whole thing is reasonable minds have the right to infer, and reasonable minds inferring with each other have to come up with this theory called, do I believe there's reasonable doubt in this case? It's going to boil down to the fact that although it's legal to carry these pocket knives in the state of Texas, what's the purpose of having a high schooler carry a pocket knife to a school function? And me hearing that, I'm not even a parent, but I'm already like, when I have kids, my kids are not going to public school, because if they say he's not guilty and they don't find a problem with him carrying a pocket knife to school, then I feel like all of our kids are in danger to a degree. Like, I don't want my kids around nobody where they feel like they can carry a motherfucking pocket knife to school. Leave that shit in your goddamn car. Leave it at home. Go hunt. Like, we all know that these white boys that hunt and that go fishing, and they got these pocket knives. They got these knives to cut the lobster and cut the fishing string. And they got these guns to go hunting hogs and shit. So though it's legal to carry guns in Texas and pocket knives, there's a time and a place. In school or something connected to a school function is not the time and the place to carry this knife with you. And then this is why I feel like people were throwing a curveball saying that, oh no, it wasn't a knife, it was a tent stake, to try to make me believe that he didn't take this knife to school. And I feel like people who was trying to justify and say that it wasn't a knife knew deep down inside that carrying a knife to school is problematic. I don't want my child in no motherfucking school where they carry knives and shit like that. If I go to a school and I see that they have metal detectors at the door, yeah, I know you're prioritizing safety, but what led to the point to where you have to get a metal detector at the door? And I'm out, bitch. I'm not going to no school. When a school feel like they have to have a metal detector, I understand you're doing safety and protocol and all this other shit, but I don't feel safe because you even put your school in this situation to have to do this. That means that there was prior incidents or knives or guns or whatever being taken to school, and that school itself is a problem. And those people in Collin County do not want to stand for that. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think to start, why do you have a fucking knife with you? Did you forget that it was in your backpack? Did you not know it was there? And unfortunately, Karmelo Anthony cannot say that simply because he told Austin Metcalf, touch me and see what happens, as he opened his backpack. He knew it was there. It wasn't like he just randomly stumbled upon it because he forgot it was there from a hunting trip or whatever event that he had going on prior to going to that track meet. Does that make sense to you?
That makes a lot of sense, Denard. And the fact that he said, touch me and see what happens, shows that he wasn't, he did not feel that his life was threatened or being threatened because of the fact that he was going to retaliate as opposed to saying, don't touch me. I'm at fear for my life. And that's why I said words have meaning. So hopefully, and again, I keep reiterating this, I hope that the defense attorney is actually able to prove his innocence, prove that it was self-defense, prove that there was reasonable doubt in order for, for this young man to, go free.
Exactly. You guys like this video. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Clubhouse people, stay in this room. That's why I did not post a YouTube video. This is not one I want you guys to come over on, but I do want you guys on Clubhouse to share this out into the other Clubhouse houses, or however you do it. Ping people in here. This is an important conversation. Again, we're slowly walking to the big question of it all. Are Black Americans done turning the other cheek? We're not only covering Karmelo Anthony, we're covering other things, but in this situation with Karmelo Anthony, we have to be fact specific, and we're going to have boots on the grounds outside the court and tell you guys what's going on there in real time. But before we do all of that, let me go ahead and read this police report, because the police report is what gets the district attorney to present a warrant affidavit to the court. So let's deal with the facts as presented under the color of law. All right. On April the 2nd, 2025 at 5:04, this police report was taken. On April the 2nd, 2025 at 10:01 hours, I, Stanley School Resource Officer E. Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call a stabbing call at David Lucrendale Stadium. FPD call notes indicates that an athlete was stabbed. The suspect was reported as a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. So he's at a track meet wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants, which means that he was not dressed out to compete with his team. So was he there to run the race, or why was you dressed like this if this is a track meet? You're not going to run in a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. So I'm going to put a pin in that thought as I continue to read this police report. This person says, I immediately left my office and ran across the Stanley Middle School parking lot towards a southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, 2 high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of the stadium by the bleachers under Memorial High School tent. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals on the tent. Once I arrived onto the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out under the tent. Once I arrived on the north bleachers, who was pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness. The individual that was pointing out to me was a black male wearing a gray hoodie, sweater, and dark colored Nike pants. The suspect at this point was on the track of the north end. There was a chain link fence that separated me from the suspect. I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands in the air. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, I was protecting myself. It should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. I asked him if he had any weapons, and he said no. I patted him down for weapons while we were walking along the fence, and I did not locate any of his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. While walking off the track, the suspect said he put his hands on me. I then detained the suspect in handcuffs and had him sit down on the ground. Officer Ariki had arrived on scene at the time. I conducted another pat down of this person and then searched this person. After he gave me consent, no weapons were located. While the suspect sat on the ground, I advised that I had the alleged suspect. The suspect then responded and says, I'm not alleged, I did it. Next, Officer Riki and I walked the suspect to patrol vehicle number 2412, which was on the northeast. Sorry, I need to blow this up because I'm kind of getting let me blow this up. It's so small. Y'all know them police reports be goddamn small and plain. Okay. So put him in handcuffs, walked into the car on the northeast gate. As we were walking to the squad car, the suspect was emotional and said he put his hands on me. I told him not to. I did not question the suspect about the incident while he was escorted to the patrol vehicle. I searched his person once again, and I had him sit on the back seat area of patrol vehicle. While the suspect was in the back seat, I noticed fresh blood on his left middle finger. I verbally acknowledged that I saw the blood out loud so that it would be captured on my body-worn camera. It should also be noted that the suspect asked me, is he going to be okay, while he was in the back seat. I then identified the suspect. He provided me his name and date of birth verbally as Karmelo Anthony, with a date of birth of such and such, which I ran into the FDP dispatch. Officer J. Hancock arrived on scene and remained with me and the suspect at this point. Karmelo was then checked via eSchool database to also confirm his identity. The identity information he provided matched the individual I had in custody. Next, I was advised by Sergeant Holland to transport the subject to the Frisco PD jail. Officer Hancock and I transferred him to the FPD jail. Again, I did not question Karmelo about the incident. Upon arriving at the Frisco jail, Karmelo was escorted in the intake area. FPD jail staff changed him out into jail attire. I remained with the jail staff the entire time that the changeover happened. The clothes that Karmelo was wearing was placed in an FPD paper evidence bag. The clothes remained in my possession from this point on. Upon Karmelo being placed into a jail cell, I continued to keep possession of his clothes. I returned to the patrol car with the other officer, and we put the clothes in the back of the trunk area. I drove the patrol car and parked the squad car in the parking lot. Karmelo's clothes remained in the trunk area of that vehicle at this time. Then K. Dillon then took possession of Karmelo's clothes. I added my body-worn camera to the case. I have no further information to report. There's a supplemental report from Ricky, how he got involved. And he was wearing a full Frisco police uniform, and I was operating a fully marked Frisco police vehicle. At about that time, I was dispatched to the report of the stabbing of David at the David Stadium. Frisco police dispatch advised an athlete had been stabbed. The suspect was described as a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatpants and blue sweatpants. I responded code 3 from the area of the Parkway. I arrived on the scene at approximately 10:05. When I arrived on scene, I approached the track field area and saw Officer Cortez kneeling next to a black male wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt and blue sweatpants. The male later identified Karmelo. He was in handcuffs on the sidewalk. Karmelo yelled out, "I'm not the alleged suspect. I did it." They patted him down, took him to the car. And there's another supplemental report from Will Otis. Will Otis basically confirms everything that Officer Cortez and them says. And then Sergeant Otis, he walked up to the visitor bleacher and observed the victim being treated by Frisco Fire Department personnel and also the athletic trainers. The weather began to turn and it began to heavily downpour rain at this point. Some of the Frisco staff moved the memorial tent to cover the victim and the FFD personnel. Sergeant Otis began using his city-issued phone to snap crime scene photos to preserve as much of the scene as possible due to the weather and the large gathering of people that were involved in the incident. Other officers began to set up a crime scene with tape moving non-essential personnel out of the immediate area. The officers on scene were informed that the knife that was used was tossed and was still believed to be somewhere close. Eventually, one of the witnesses said they remember seeing it on the bleacher still. Officer Still was able to locate the knife. It was located between rows 9 and 10 near seat 30. Partially open. The rain began to come down again heavily, and it was determined that instead of moving the knife, the officers would cover it with a large blue tape. Sergeant Otis assisted in preserving the immediate crime scene as much as possible while the other personnel tended to the victim and eventually transported him. At around this time, Officer Welts and the crime scene log and began logging the individual on the call to the best of his ability. Lieutenant Crawford relieved Sergeant Otis on the scene. Sergeant Otis went back to the police department to download his body cam and the photos he took with the city issued camera phone, and that's concluded his investigation. Now there's a Taylor Wetzel that came in at approximately, I responded to the stabbing at the stadium. When I arrived on scene, I grabbed a roll of tape, crime scene tape, from my trunk and proceeded to the visitors bleacher where dispatch advised the victim was. While I was walking towards the visitors bleachers, I was approached by a witness who identified himself as such and such. He began to tell me what happened, and I asked him where the stabbing occurred. He advised me it happened under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors bleacher. I immediately informed Sergeant Otis where the witness stated the stabbing occurred and gave him the crime scene tape and started securing the crime scene. I then had someone move to the walkway under the visitors bleacher out of the rain to further speak with me. The following is a summary of the contact with such and such. And this when I say such and such, it's redacted. And this other redacted individual advised he was sitting under the Memorial High School pop-up tent with his team and was near the victim, Austin, and the suspect, who was later identified as Karmelo Anthony from the Centennial High School, and was sitting on the Memorial High School tent. Austin had told Anthony that he needed to move out from under their team's tent, and Anthony grabbed his bag, opened it, and reached inside and proceeded to tell Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." No one really thought Anthony really had any weapons in his bag, and Austin proceeded to touch Anthony, and then Anthony told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out what redacted recall as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Austin began grabbing his chest and telling everyone to get help. Such and such advised he did not know Anthony's name, but stated another Memorial track member was friends with Anthony and he could identify Anthony. That person described Anthony as a black male, skinny, with possibly a goatee, short puffy hair, and wearing Centennial High School clothing. This concludes my contact. So we know for a fact that he was invited over there or had some type of connection to someone from Memorial High School. So it's not like he just popped up over there unannounced and to, provoke athleticism. He was friends with someone on that team. But anyways, there's a Jerry Hancock who basically says the same thing. Karmelo to the Frisco. This is the officer that put him in a holding cell. Then in the Alvin Fisher, he went to the state of the note, stated an athlete had been stabbed in the chest, was unconscious and not breathing. He arrived on the crime scene. I was already marked off and a suspect was in custody. I began asking people if they were witness to anything. I made contact with Hunter Metcalf and then this other person and someone else. They were both breathing heavily and crying due to the nature of the events. They were with coaches on the field and it was pouring down rain. We made the decision to relocate to a locker room just to the east to get out of the rain. Once in there, things calmed a little bit. However, they were still historical and could not really talk in there. I learned Hunter was the brother of the victim. I attempted to ask them both what had happened. I could not really get anything out of Hunter, but the other person stated he wanted to speak. I asked him what happened, and he stated they were all sitting on the bleachers on the Memorial High School tent with another male who he did not know walked over and sat under the tent, and then said to Austin, told this male that since he did not go to Memorial, he had to leave. And Austin and the other male went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out of the tent. Then such and such had said during this time of arguing, the male was reaching around in his bag. It was at this time the male took out the knife and stabbed Austin and then left the scene. This was all blank. Remember when he talked about it. After this, I then stood by three athlete witnesses until CID arrived and interviewed them. I was then relieved. Then there's a Mike Crawford who did a report. He was dispatched. The medical personnel were actively engaged in life-saving measures. With Mr. Metcalf, I observed that a crime scene was created around the area and began collecting the names and contact information of the bystanders within the scene. I then met with Officer Wetzel and directed him to begin a crime scene log. As he was getting the needed paperwork, I took over his responsibilities of monitoring the witness of the event. Ultimately, the witnesses was taken to another area of and out of the rain by another officer, and he had nothing else to do with it. Then Jacob, one other witness, a police witness that is, he said, I coordinated with another officer on scene to secure the location. By the time the students and the FISD staff had cleared the area, I used crime scene tape and began to tape off the area. Somebody informed him that the suspect threw the knife and pointed me in the location. I located the knife and could see blood on the knife. They took pictures of it, put tape over it, blue tape specifically. And once he positioned the tarp over the knife, I reached down and grabbed a backpack left in the stands to weigh the tarp down and threw it up when Sergeant Otis was positioning the tarp. It was later discovered that the backpack I threw up on top of the tarp was the suspect's backpack. It was the only Centennial High School backpack located within all of the Memorial High School backpacks in that area on the stands. After securing the scene with the crime scene tape and attempted to preserve as much evidence as possible, I assisted another officer while locating other possible witnesses. Officer Witzel has maintained scene security while I was assisting the other officers after the medics transported the victims. I took photos of it, and that's it. And that concludes his investigation. And there's a Cal Pemberton who responded to this, located it at the stadium. Call notes advised the male had been stabbed and unconscious upon arriving. I coordinated it. The knife reported it had been used, and the assault was located by another officer in the bleachers. Shortly after my arrival, a large downpour of rain had begun. I directed several officers to use a tarp found at the scene to cover the location of the knife. I remained on scene until the victim was transported. Then Justin Newton, whose statement is strikingly similar, he says he got from the nurse's bag Austin in the body bag. Oh my gosh. Put him in a body bag. Oh, that's got to be fucking crazy. At 13:37, he witnessed them put Austin in a body bag. At 15:15 hours, the transport service that's a long time to see somebody in a body bag and then to get them transported just sitting there. Wow. Anyways, the medical examiner arrived and took possession of the body. Tag number 1016978 was placed on the bag and secured. I took notes during this time, which when scanned to the report and booked as evidence, I turned in the crime scene log, and that was basically the end of it. There's an Andrew Higgins who reported and walked into the main lobby stating that he had witnessed this someone walked into the lobby of a police station and stated he had witnessed the stabbing, and he was told to come to the lobby to complete a witness statement. He gave them a voluntary witness statement, which he worked on until detectives arrived to speak to him. This redacted person left with detectives, and I returned to my duties. Craig Thomas, who seems to be one of the big witnesses dealing with the other witnesses. Upon his arrival, I first made contact with Officer Cortez, who was standing next to a marked police vehicle. Officer Cortez advised he had detained the suspect and he was in the patrol vehicle. I then responded to the victim scene. That was in the north bleacher. As I walked up, I noticed Frisco Fire Department personnel was attempting to provide life-saving measures to the subject, later identified as Memorial High School student Austin Metcalf. And there's a lot of redaction. As other officers worked the scene, I was asked respond to the stadium medic and keep the following Memorial High School students witness separated until detectives speak with them. There's 3 redacted students who are witnesses. And then it goes to say, while with them, I was told to take their cell phones from them and later turned them over to Sergeant. After being relieved, I was asked to make contact with all of FISD athletes that had been placed on school buses. Below is a list of the students who identified themselves as witnesses to the stabbing of Austin Metcalf. There's one from Le Bon Tri High School girls track. The first bus got 3 students from Lebanon Trail High School. There's another bus from Liberty High School boys track team with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 witnesses. There's another bus from Liberty High School girls track team with 1 witness. There's a bus from Memorial High School boys track team with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 witnesses. There's a bus from Frisco High School boys track team. So this with 1, 2, 3. And then there's a bus from Independent High School boys and girls track team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's another bus from Emerson High School girls track 6. So notice they don't have anybody as a witness from Karmelo Anthony's high school. They have a total of about 15 different students from different schools in the same county, Collin counties, that's going to be testifying on behalf of Austin Metcalf and the state against Karmelo Anthony, 1 black boy, and none of the witnesses that the police talked to on scene came from Centennial High School. And that's bad. So you out there in the op zone, nigga, all these rich ass white kids finna send your ass up the road. And there's another one from the Emerson Girls High School. Okay, that was a girl. And then they say, I was also met by the following coaches who advised they witnessed the incident. There's a coach from Centennial High School. Her suspect confessed to the stabbing, and that coach is going to be able to testify on behalf of Karmelo Anthony's character and what type of athlete he was and his attitude. So his own coach is going to probably be an op or probably be there to testify on his behalf. I don't know, but there's one coach from his own high school. There's a Vincent Hopper from Heritage High School. Her suspect confessed to the stabbing. There's a Lakeisha Collins, Independent High School coach, witnessed the incident. And there's a Mindy Yetman from Independence High School, witnessed the incident. So 2 white women witnessed it. Your coach from your school and another coach from another school heard you confess to it. And the only person that is in this docket that has any personal knowledge about Karmelo Anthony is Markel Gonzalez, which is a Spanish man. So that's the only possible witness that is disclosed that could testify and say anything on behalf of Karmelo from a personal observation because he's the coach at his school. Everybody else don't know him. First time meeting him, he done stabbed somebody. God damn. And there's another officer. He responded to the stabbing. I provided scene security and assisted while keeping civilians away from the crime scene. I maintained this position until I was relieved by CID detectives. And then there's another one that says this. So just based upon the police report that I see, this is very, very bad for Karmelo Anthony. Like, you're one black boy. And Carmelo's high school is Fresno. Okay. Frisco Centennial High School. Okay. Boys track team is Carmelo's team. Okay. So let me go back to this police report. So Frisco is Continental, okay? Oh, Centennial. Frisco is Centennial. So Frisco or Fresco? So Frisco High School boys track team, 1, 2, 3. There's 3 boys on his bus or on his team that witnessed it and are going to be able to testify. So that's 3 people that can testify to Karmelo Anthony's behavior as a former athlete on the same team and as a student from the same school plus a coach. Okay, so that's definitely important, but hopefully, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna say. All I know is I did hear a news clip that Karmelo himself was, always fighting. But they were surprised that he would actually stab someone. So I will tell you that. But anyways, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys have to think. And I'm looking at updates from inside the courthouse right now. And there's an update that says, and this is from sorry, you guys, I gotta readjust my screen on YouTube because I blew it up. Anyways, there's a note from Mary Ann Martinez, a note about Karmelo Anthony media coverage. Only 9 news organizations could have been credited by the court to be inside the courtroom. They include the Dallas TV stations, the Dallas bloggers. It's in the court today. Only credited members of the media are allowed electronics in the courtroom. We are the only ones live reporting what's happening. Less than 30 members of the public were allowed into the courtroom today. And so even if bloggers made it in, they are not able to tweet or get out what is happening. So let me follow this person because she seems to have her device in the courtroom. And in real time, she's tweeting from inside the courtroom, which is very important. And she's updating us. 4 minutes ago, she says, jurors are about to see the only known recording video of Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf stabbing. Daily Mail has already seen the video, which was recorded by a fixed camera at the stadium the day of the deadly track meet. So if they're pulling up this video where it's like a video of all of these cameras, I think that's a little bit prejudice for this school to not show the video from the isolated camera instead of showing a layout of about, what was it? It seemed like 20 different cameras. So it was very small. You have to zoom into it. And the more you zoom into it, the more pixelated it gets. So that definitely could be bad. We're definitely 14 minutes ago, she said the interest in the Karmelo Anthony unalivement case is so intense that people are trying to buy their way into the courtroom. I was just approached in the ladies' room while on a bathroom break by a young woman who offered me cash in exchange for a pass granting me access into the court. She also asked other women who had been in line since 6 a.m. to buy their passes. Everyone turned her down. Damn, don't tell me that's Queen Sheba Darling, Anika at NyQuil, trying to get some clicks and views. So they outside. They didn't spend their money to go to Texas and can't get in the courtroom. Is what is happening here. So we're definitely going to continue to give you guys live updates and so forth. But also, I want to cover other things that are strikingly important. There was another self-defense case coming out of South Carolina where Mr. Chow fired a shot at a young man by the name of Cyrus, and he was found not guilty.
The jury unanimously find the defendant, Chi K. Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty. Fine number 302, foreperson, June the 1st, 2026. Madam Forelady, was this your verdict and the verdict of the entire jury?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you.
That is so sad.
Madam Forelady and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. We, the jury, unanimously.
That is so sad. That is so sad. And the family just broke down and cried. There's no justice for black people in the court of law, rather, no matter what side that you're on. This goes to continue to show that the system is not for us. One Asian man took down a whole black community. It was 5 or 6 black women and 2 black men that testified and said that they seen Rick Chow fire a single shot at Cyrus and hit him in the back. Now, what's ironic about this is Rick Chow, Mr. Chow, had already shot 2 people prior. He shot a black woman who stole some peanuts and some motherfucking Pepsi, and he went out and shot 6 rounds inside of a car, and he did not get any charges pressed against him because it was considered self-defense. So they can go out and shoot up your car while you're trying to get away, and then when Cyrus is running away, you can shoot him and get away with it. Rick Chow also shot a black man that stole some toilet cleaning supply. The black man was arrested for the theft, and Rick Chow got away with it. So this is Rick Chow's 3rd time getting away with the crime against somebody black. This is very problematic for these Asian people to come into our black neighborhoods, to police us, gun us down, and for us to do business with them. We need to stop doing business with them, period. Okay, go to the Facebook marketplace and buy your crab legs from somebody who's cooking out their motherfucking kitchen or somebody's food truck. Go and do business with black people. That's the Lash Tech, the nail salons. Stop buying Chinese hair and all this other shit, because guess what? They're laughing at us. Black people, we have the biggest dollar as far as a consumer in America. Annually, we spend the most money while we don't own anything. And that is strategically done. Okay. This is why it's problematic for this affirmative action and DEI, because it allowed people like Mr. Child to come in and take government bonds, loans, and shit to buy up gas stations and serve up gas and products out of a store to your neighborhood. And while you enrich him, your money is leaving your neighborhood, going into his bank account, going out into mainstream society. We need to get back to the point of 1920, Black Wall Street. Even after the bombing of Black Wall Street, way up in 1943, the black dollar was the strongest in the country. If black people continue to do business with each other and not took our money out to mainstream society, went across the tracks simply because, oh, these people got it in bulk and I can buy it a little bit cheaper. That was a trick to take your black dollar out of your motherfucking community. And now the Asian people are doing a fantastic job doing it. And I don't mean to like say that like from a rate. Actually, I do mean to say it from a racial lens. We have no economic power. We have no political power. We have no representation in the courtroom. Now, I spent a lot of time, like 4.5 hours, watching the case and what happened in this trial. The prosecutor's office did a great job botching this case. They threw the case on purpose. For instance, when Andy Child testified, the prosecutor, who happens to be a black man, asked Andy Child about the blicky that was recovered that allegedly belonged to Cyrus. And not only is it allegedly belonging to Cyrus, they say it's a fact it belongs to him, because the prosecutor and the defense attorney conceded that Cyrus had a weapon. So when they asked Andy Child about the weapon, Andy Child said it was a black weapon with a silver bearing. And I seen the prosecutor have the blicky with him, and he was going to get ready and present it to Andy Child. He said, "Are you sure it had a silver bearing?" And Andy Child said, "Yes." And then he did not present him with the blicky, nor did he show it to the jury, because the blicky had a black bearing. Andy Child stood up there and lied like a sociopath and painted a narrative like he was a victim and like Cyrus actually had a blicky. And to further prove that this was systemic injustice done by black people working for this system of white supremacy against this 14-year-old child, there was a lieutenant or an investigator that worked with the local police department that's fucking African, that got up there and lied on Cyrus by saying that he had observed an Instagram post posted the day before with Cyrus holding the blicky. Nobody don't know nothing about that, and the only person who could recant or deny these claims that he had a blicky and posted up with a blicky is Cyrus, and he's no longer here. So they said he posted on Instagram a firearm, and this is the picture from it. I didn't see no metadata, no timestamp, no extraction. And usually when you're thinking about social media posts, we've seen how to do this when we observed the court case in Michigan with Jarvis Butts, how they looked at his private Instagram account, how they looked at Naziah Harris' private Instagram account. Even in the YM Melly case, how they was bringing up Instagram messages. You have to confirm that this is legit and legitimately coming from Instagram using the metadata. You got to subpoena Instagram. You got to bring up the coded information, or at least take a screenshot from Instagram. Like, this is on Instagram, and I see it. It's got 8.8K likes, 1.6K comments, 526, reshares and reply, all of this stuff. This is like, if I want to say this is a piece of evidence from Instagram, I would have to take a screenshot of this and then say, this is a screenshot from Instagram, and this is a video from Instagram. This is exhibit 1A. And then, because we're still dealing with exhibit 1, which is this content, exhibit 1B would be the actual video from the Instagram post that was established in exhibit 1A. I literally seen them take a photo that looked like AI, that had no metadata affiliated with it at all, and say this was Cyrus and what he posted on Instagram the day before. The only thing that they had to go on was word of mouth from this so-called investigator who's African and who did a great job demonizing this boy. And it was not legit. They botched this case. And then Cyrus's family is sitting next to Action News Network, which is owned and operated by Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton sold out Barack Obama for Comcast. Al Sharpton sold out Barack Obama for Sony, as well as Michael Jackson for Sony, while playing in his face on the float. Al Sharpton told black people to boycott Target while walking into Costco and leading them down this aisle, and ain't bought nail membership for nail nigga. I don't trust anything that Al Sharpton is behind. It's all a conspiracy. This case was thrown intentionally, and the purpose of this case was to demonize our black youth. And this is all a part of a bigger agenda, because the demonization of our black youth is going to lead to our black youth being forced drafted into military come December to go to Iran, where the mountains are tall, and use our black youth as foot soldiers and guinea pigs and test dummies to go out there and get fucking killed. Why you think ain't no foot soldiers in Iran right now? All that shit is in the mountains. So, and what's so crazy is, like, if y'all was gonna burn down the gas station and do all this other stuff, I'm not encouraging nobody to do that. Y'all should have been did that. They say Mr. Child sold this gas station and somebody else owns it. So now you're vandalizing and hurting the business of somebody who's not even involved in this case at all. At fucking all. Like, black people are just like, are we done with this? Have we had enough of the protesting? Have we had enough? I thought we've been tired since motherfucking Selma. Like, you're triggered by what? You're suddenly triggered because this is a hot topic and something to do, something to get out of the house. Instead of celebrating and praising and worshiping and getting motherfucking diabetes from candy, dip Kool-Aid, dip pineapples and shit, guess what? We need to actually start focusing on these political legislations that's happening right before our eyes that's continue to decimate us in this country.
Bro. Sometimes, bro, you trying to do good, bro. The devil just protect you off your path, bro. I can't believe I start my motherfucking morning like this without selling fucking pineapple, bro. Bro, somebody, I ain't even finna cry about this shit, bro. Just somebody come pull up on me, bro. Buy some.
It's so crazy. All that sugar and this pineapple Kool-Aid and shit, that shit is clogging y'all brain and closing off your pineal gland. And according to dope boys out there, bitch selling it like it's dope. Fuck is you talking about? And y'all want to protest when it's too late. That's what the fuck is wrong with black people. We so full of mess and so full of shit and paying attention to all the mess. By the time something serious happens, you want to now, oh my gosh, what's happening? Mr. Child got off. If y'all was going to do something to Mr. Child, y'all should have been did it. If y'all was going to vandalize the gas station, y'all should have been did it when it was important. Stop sitting back, allowing us to be victimized by the same system that continues to tell us no, that continues to tell us we don't give about you. And as American people, everything that happened to black people, such as stop and frisk, when it happened to white people, we up in arms and now all of a sudden we care. It's definitely a race issue. Race is definitely a topic of discussion that we need to explore. We need to continue to explore it. I'm sorry. Like, you know, we cannot sit here and act like this is a colorblind issue. This is an agenda issue. And the agenda has always been to go against black people. And when it started affecting white people, it becomes a problem. Here's another trending topic that I came across. You guys are familiar with Reckless Ben. Reckless Ben, who pretty much makes $600,000 a month off of YouTube, decided to make a big deal out of a $200,000 Lego collection and went over there fucking with the Mormon people. And now he has a court case coming on saying the police arrested me falsely and I don't know what to do and I'm the victim. And people are pouring into him. What about all the black people that are victimized every fucking year?
We all want to leave something behind to our children and grandchildren. And for the Mansell family, that was a small fortune worth of Lego Star Wars. Yes, 780 sets and more than 1,200 minifigures that they gave to their local Bricks and Minifig store in Salem, Oregon to sell on consignment. That store was taken over by new owners that the Mansells allege did not pay out that fair share. All of this was discovered by an investigator named Reckless Ben, and I will let the rest of the context come from his video.
Family reached out to me saying that I'm their last hope to get them their life savings back. The video I made exposing them was actually insane. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. But
all right, well, we'll let our audience do that on their own. But Ben joins us right now to give us the very latest on the case. Ben, how are you doing?
It's good. How are you?
I am good, my friend. So, as for Bricks and Minifigs, we reached out to them. They pointed us to their latest statement. There's another one coming, obviously, as this story continues. But they said that these kinds of consignment agreements that the Mansells made with the previous owners are not legal under what Bricks and Minifigs allows franchisees to do. Now, when the Mansells sold this massive Lego collection to their local shop, and the local shop said they would sell it on consignment, was there any kind of idea or warning?
Bricks and Minifigs is going to say that this consignment wasn't even allowed, and that's why they're allowed to take it. But that's the worst argument ever, just because that's really none of Brian's business or my business, whether the consignment was allowed or not allowed. I think they're just trying to take away from the fact that they took this Lego Star Wars collection without paying for it. Because whether it's allowed, if this consignment is allowed and he gave them the Legos and they didn't pay for it, that's illegal. If it wasn't allowed and he gave them the Legos and they didn't pay for it, that's still illegal. So it literally doesn't matter either way if it was allowed or not allowed. At the end of the day, Brian gave this store $200,000 worth of his Legos, and then he only got paid a tiny, tiny amount back. So, and once the new owners took over, they didn't pay him anything. So that really doesn't matter at all.
As things get crazy between you and the American Fork Police Department and Bricks and Minifigs, we are wondering about Brian now that he's been made whole. What are the words that he is saying?
He is beyond grateful right now. It's crazy because he's been doing this for 2 years, and he's done everything in his power to try and get either the Legos back or reimbursed or even just answers. And after about a year and a half of this, like before he contacted me, he was just completely given up. He had to resort to, he would constantly be having anxiety attacks, going to the hospital. He had to get put on medication, and he was just given up at this point. And then now that all this has happened, I think he finally just accepted the reality that he lost. But now that this is all happening, it's like no one ever pictured that we all thought we'll get some audience support and maybe we can get some of the money back, but we never thought it was gonna go this crazy. We're gonna get it back plus more for lawyers' fees. So it's just been crazy.
Why are you crying? I'm totally done with this situation, Reckless Bed. I'm sorry. You crying about Legos, crying about a civil issue. White folks done came up. You done got $350,000 for some $200,000 Legos. Okay, cool. Get on up out of here. All right. I'm cool on that. Yep, I'm totally cool on it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, I want to double back on this situation with Mr. Chow unaliving Cyrus, shooting him from the back and claiming self-defense. I mean, even in the state of South Carolina, any state, you can't claim that you're in imminent danger if you're running somebody down. This definitely reminds me of that Tupac song about the young girl. What was she, 15 years old? Latasha from South Los Angeles, who was inside a bodega and an Asian man accused her of stealing, and she whooped his goddamn ass, and he got mad and shot her in the back of the head. And people in LA was like, we had enough of this. And they was tired and they was through and outraged. And stuff just was rolling down the hill. And then when Rodney, when the LA riots happened, people think that happened because of Rodney King, but racial tensions was already high. Rodney King was a crackhead who sold niggas out and said, can we all just get along? Fuck no. You notice how they don't do that shit in the West Coast. It's always this East Coast shit. I mean, Texas is in the West Coast. So Mr. Chow unaliving Cyrus and getting away with it. You know, they're trying to make this Karmelo Anthony situation about race when in actuality it's just about a juvenile delinquent who was not held accountable for his crimes that he probably committed because his parents protected him, did not go to no therapy, mental health treatment, and got a brand new car. in the middle of being bonded out for an unalivement case. Like, how privileged can you get? So, but at the end of the day, you know, race does play a role in the selection of the jury and the attitude and so forth the judge do. The judge is just a public servant in a fucking robe. So when it was reported that the judge has been an asshole, that's his temperament. And that should tell you where his mind is and how he's going to treat Karmelo. His temperament is, I'm an asshole straight up from the start and throughout this, while the prosecutor is playing the nice guy, the judge is playing the bad guy. That's all just a show. Okay, they went to lunch together and the judge was like, I'm gonna be hardcore and I'm gonna be stern and I need you to go and be nice because when we hang this Negro, we got him good, okay? Texas, all these sundown towns, we already know Karmelo Anthony is fucking done out here in these streets. Let's be clear. But my thing is, with this Karmelo Anthony situation, is this what's going to like turn heads and tilt this race war, okay? Nobody wants World War III. Nobody wants a civil war. But ladies and gentlemen, the inevitable is always going to happen. All right, let's go and visit this Chud the Builder situation. Chud the Builder has been crying hardcore tears and showing that he's like a little boy, okay? He been crying and acting like that nigga that took it from that transgender, trying to get out of jail, and they just not letting him out because, you know, he's just problematic across the board. Mind you, Chud the Builder has a rap sheet just as long as Highway 27 and has always been a problem for his own community. And then he decided to get clout and attention off of becoming a problem for the black community, thinking that you can go out there and unalive someone and utilize a self-defense law like Mr. Chow to get away with your crime. Again, you know, the wheels of justice is slow. Chud the Builder continues to come back and forth to court every single day. I'm pretty sure them white racist KKK conservatives are paying for his lawyers and they're just taking all the money to bring him out here. Now, Alex Rosen took the stand for Chud the Builder. And let's hear what he had to say, because mind you, Alex Rosen was the very first Chud the Builder where they feel like they can come online and say and do all these things under the color of freedom of speech. But Alex Rosen was not dumb. He didn't go out there and say that shit to niggas' face. As a matter of fact, he folded and want to collaborate with black people these days.
So I'm hoping to bond him out. You know, I myself am a free speech absolutist, and yeah, I just don't think he should be in jail right now.
And mind you, this is Alex Rosen right here, and what he said and why he's a free speech advocate. He don't give a damn about Chud the Builder. The only thing he give a damn about is going to maintain that he's the first nasty ass white boy that went online calling black people a hard NER, and he wants to grift himself to Chud the Builder for brand and marketing purposes only. That's it.
A lot of people, you know, trying to put in my comment section, oh, but you would never say the N-word in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. Well, you're wrong.
I ain't even finna play that because they gonna demonetize me. Look, he yelled that shit from the top of his lung, and ain't no black people around, sir. We don't give a damn. You out there by your motherfucking self. Yeah. What? And here's he harassing ICE. So that's him harassing people out there in Texas. And my whole thing is they just actually released the guy that went to the stadium where Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. They just released him just in time to go out there with his race baiting antics in order to stir the pot with this Karmelo Anthony trial. Now, I've heard that the Black Panthers are out there. They're hooting, they're hollering, they're blowing goat horns and shit. yelling. This means absolutely nothing to them people. Like, you're wasting your time. Now, I can see it was the pandemic where people are protesting Black Lives Matter and shit because you get unemployment and all that stuff. What are you doing? What's the purpose of this? Where do you think you're going? Day 4 opening arguments have begun in the Karmelo Anthony trial. Pastor Lorenzo Henry of Kingdom Application Ministries is outside of the Collin Courthouse praying and blowing a horn. He states that he comes and prays outside of this court every Thursday because racism has been legalized here.
Arise! Let God arise! And his enemies be scattered! Ah! Ah! Let God arise and his enemies be scattered. Amen and amen and amen. Oh my God. Let God arise!
Child, listen, niggas been fucked up since they rewrote the Bible and said God, praise white Jesus and all this other shit, man. I'm sick of this. Like, you know. And the thing is, it only take a couple of us to show bravery, to show that we'll die by something. That's all it take, literally. And people just afraid. Or it's just gonna be somebody else. Oh, that nigga gone. We scared. I'm scared. I don't want to go to hell. You know, fuck all of that. Shit, that's the biggest difference between white Americans and Black Americans. White people will really die by their cause. Let's be clear. Have you ever fought a white boy? They'll get their ass beat the fuck up and keep on fighting. Like, get your ass away from me. Like, get on. You done got beat up. I'm tired, you tired. You got your fucking mouth and teeth hanging out the socket and shit, and you still trying to fight? Niggas, come on.
We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection.
Okay, I get that. We love our Black youth. They deserve protection too. Absolutely. And like I said yesterday, it starts with, you know, teaching our Black youth how to defend themselves and how to be prepared to go out into the world. Okay? Why don't y'all put y'all Black youth in a karate class, martial arts class, a boxing class to teach these niggas how to fight so they don't have to be like Karmelo to stab up a motherfucker, scared to take a lick. Shit, I'd have told y'all the stories about this shit. When I was growing up, nigga, couldn't nobody in my neighborhood beat me up. Fuck is you talking about? I got scared to fight them because by the time you get to 10th grade, these niggas got guns. Guns? Are you really gonna pull a gun on me, bitch? I actually know how to shoot. I've been hanging out with the white boys out there at the fucking mud holes hunting hogs, using knives and using guns as a part of a sport. Not to take a life from somebody or to use this as a mechanism to say this is how I defend myself, when in actuality you're antagonizing and provoking and you feel the baddest because you got a weapon on you. No, we deserve to protect our youth and all that other shit, okay? Yes. Don't y'all know braces are cheaper when they're children and you can get them bitches on Medicaid too? Don't you know karate classes, boxing class, all that shit is cheaper. If your child don't want to do it, motivate them and say, this is self-defense. Take them to self-defense class. All of that stuff is cheaper when you are a kid. Okay? You go out and buy them little itty-bitty ass Jordans that they going to outgrow. You could have spent that on a month worth of training, self-defense, martial arts. But you want your baby to look the sharpest and you want your baby to be the last one from that fuck-ass nigga in the hood. Because you all fucked up in the head and worried about what the hood think instead of actually nose to the grindstone. I want to make sure my child knows what to do, know how to defend themselves. I don't want nobody to bully my child. So let me put my child in self-defense classes. That class right there is going to teach them the discipline and teach them that when somebody is attacking them, I'm attacking them back, but from the angle that I'm defending myself. So it's second nature. Learn police doctrine so that anytime we're stopping frisk by them, we know how to, get along with them. Fuck is you talking about? The police come, bitch. Hey, what's up, man? I'm charming and everything, bitch. I don't need no ticket. I don't need nothing. I'm trying to go home. I done got me some head from the police on the side of the road. Not just out of a ticket, because I know they rules and I know they regulations, and they're human beings too. Why are we teaching our kids to lead with fear? And it's very controversial for me to say this, but I'm starting to feel like I understand why Greg Abbott did away with critical race theory in Texas, because there's people here. In Texas, lynching, and in Texas, they don't like black people. You keep on reinforcing that narrative in 2026, your kids are going to go out and be afraid of white people and get flustered and feel insecure and insignificant instead of just going along and get along. I remember when I left and divested away from my own marginalized black neighborhood. Wasn't nobody but some niggas in them. Only time we seen white people is we went to school. And now white people don't even want their kids to go to school with black kids no more. They just overturned affirmative action using Brown versus Board of Education as a footnote. And then Austin Metcalf got stabbed up by Karmelo Anthony. They don't even want your kids at these functions anymore. And you know how they're undoing that and separating them is because now they want to teach black kids online while the white kids can go to school and say that it's not racist, it's not discrimination. They're still a part of the school. You just got to stay your black ass home while all white kids come to school and we feel a little bit safer. What is you talking about? That's happening. And in situations like this, teach your kids how to love and how to lead from a place and position of power instead of victimization. That's why Abbott overturned critical race theory. And I'm starting to see this is not slavery days. This is 2026. I understand. I'm from one of them small ass towns that when I go back, that bitch is frozen in time. Okay. They think like they move like the 70s and I don't feel safe there. Cause bitch, I'm a 2030 type of niggas. Fuck is you talking about? I come through, they looking and treat me like Michael Jackson. I got that shit on. You understand what I'm saying? They like, oh, he's weird. No, I ain't weird. I'm just advanced. And you niggas are stuck behind. So let me go and find my tribe. Let me go and be prepared to deal with a wide, diverse straight in reality. Okay, Collins County, Texas is not Los Angeles, California. That's just the reality of the situation. And you cannot enforce Collins County to understand people that maneuver in Los Angeles. Now, me living in Los Angeles and going back to my small hometown, I got to make adjustments in order to survive. I'm not changing who I am. I'm just adjusting to the environment. I understand there's racist piece of shits, but I understand the police doctrine. I understand how to defend myself. I understand that if I sit in somebody's tent that feels like they're privileged and they don't like black people because this is Texas, that what kind of situation I could ultimately put myself into. And I understand that self-defense is not shooting somebody in the back like Mr. Chow. And I also understand that premeditation is saying touch me or punch me and see what happened and going in your backpack to stab somebody up. You did that fucking crime, but guess what? I continue to tell you guys that this situation with Karmelo's going to get the sympathy card that black people want and are looking for. He's going to get it. I believe he's going to get it. I believe Karmelo Anthony is not going to go to prison. Karmelo Anthony is going to be the poster child for the military drafting that's coming up. To send all black youth to be front line, to go over there and look at them big tall ass mountains I ran while they rained hell on them and killed them. Yeah, I think that's the plan for Karmelo Anthony, honestly. It only takes one tweet from Donald Trump to certify it, and I sense that coming within the next couple of days or so. See, y'all like to live in a moment, but you don't understand how history repeats itself and understand how legislation and everything is arising. And how do we get to this moment? How do we get to this moment? Like this shit that they're doing, black people, are we still living in 1960, 9? Are we still living and I have a dream? Are we still out here acting like the system give a fuck about us? And that they're going to make some type of legislation for our benefit? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Frontline Turning Point USA, you know they racist. Charlie Kirk, I done seen people say that nigga dead, pointing at him, laughing at him for getting shot in the neck and stuff. And want me to tell you why that happened? Because he was talking shit about black people. And somebody white came and shot him in the neck. And guess what? I ain't finna pick and poke at that shit. It happened. It's up to them to learn their lesson before God continue to tell them what they went wrong at. So this was reported by Savannah Hernandez in regards to the jury. And I said it was very, very problematic for the black people on the jury to interject race into the situation. People are like, oh, Karmelo Anthony's attorney should appeal because no black jurors are on the jury. I told you guys yesterday, how are you going to appeal a decision that the jury, that black people, citizens, that was summoned to be a part of the jury interjected into the case? Even if they are racist, they will play a game of charades with you. Okay, we're gonna let these black jurors say, I can't let a brother send another brother to jail because I'm this and them this. I'm gonna cross them about it and I'm gonna pad the record and be like, oh, we've never had that issue before, and I empathize with you and I feel bad and I understand what you're talking about. Just to pad the fucking record and turn around and strike out the other black jury people. So if that decision is appealed, they're then going to go to the court transcripts and show how the state took their time and was patient with these black jurors and how they're not racist. I told y'all that yesterday. I be fucking up in the court of law. If you in the court of law, y'all niggas got to think about the end goal, because these cases can go on forever and ever and ever. Bitch, I don't give a fuck if I'm in a civil court. When I'm in civil court, I'm thinking about constitutional law. I'm thinking about federal law. I'm thinking about state law. I'm thinking about what this means in the next year. Everything that I'm saying and I'm doing, I'm thinking about padding my record in case I need to persevere. So, bitch, I know how to play the game. And these black people that were summoned out of 600 people to sit on the trial of fact decided not to play the game and show your hand. Oh, he's a brother. I can't. Y'all nookers from the public that was summoned interjected race into this case and gave them a perfect excuse to get rid of your motherfucking ass.
Allen County Courthouse for day 3 of jury selection in the Karmelo Anthony trial. And I was actually able to go into the courthouse today and listen to the defense question the jurors myself. It was very interesting, and I have a couple of notes for you guys. Now, one of the first things that stood out to me is that Karmelo Anthony's lawyer, Mike Howard, stated that he's going to be referring to Karmelo Anthony as Mello for the duration of the trial. Now, he states that this is the nickname that Karmelo Anthony's friends and family know him by and refer to him as, so he's going to be referring to him as Mello for the rest of the trial. On top of that, he's also looking for a jury that is potentially sympathetic to Karmelo Anthony not taking the stand to testify. This was a line of questioning that came up quite a bit, so it very much seems like Karmelo may potentially not be taking the stand. Only time will tell. Again, opening arguments are supposed to be starting tomorrow, but just some insights into what the argument from his lawyer might be. What was brought up today was constitutional carry and the fact that Texas is a stand your ground state. Now, regarding constitutional carry, Karmelo's lawyer brought up the fact that this does not only encompass guns, but it also extends to knives as well. He also stated that because Texas is a stand your ground state, that Karmelo Anthony did not have a duty to retreat. So
yeah, but again, common sense, and this is where reasonable doubt comes into play. Reasonable doubt, reasonable minds have the right to infer. Okay, it's not illegal to carry a knife in Texas, but do I want to make a decision to say it's okay for my son and my daughter to go to school not knowing if somebody has a knife in their backpack? And I'm pretty sure the school board has a policy to where you can't bring a fucking knife to school. Florida and other states open carry cases, cool. There's a time and a place. You can't carry that shit to school. Like, black, white, Asian, bitch, I don't want my child around nobody with no knife at no motherfucking school. Is you cool?
So just some insight there on what some of the arguments brought forward in defense of Karmelo might be throughout the duration of this trial. A jury has officially been seated and 12 jurors have been chosen, which means that opening arguments do start tomorrow and the trial will officially be underway. You also have 6 alternate jurors that have been chosen, meaning that if any of those original 12 get dismissed, one of those 6 will go in and take their place. Now, another interesting thing that I noticed regarding Karmelo Anthony's GoFundMe is that once the jury selection started on Monday, people started donating to his legal defense fund once again. Remember that this is a GoFundMe that was started to raise funds for Karmelo Anthony and his family. They stated that it was going to be utilized for legal defense, for everyday living expenses, for counseling, and it was originally set at $350,000. That number, after being very quickly surpassed, then shot up to $500,000. That goal was also surpassed. So the new goal for this legal defense fund is $1.3 million, and it is currently sitting at $612,000 in donated funds to Karmelo Anthony and his family. But a little look at the inside of the courthouse today and also the outside of it. There were some protesters here on behalf of Karmelo this morning. I went and I tried to interview them, and they were extremely aggressive. One of their security guards told me that I needed to leave. Again, my question was, hey, can I interview any of you guys today? I'm just interested in why you guys are here, why this is important to you. That resulted in him telling me that I needed to get out of the area or he would be my worst nightmare. Another woman then began immediately saying that I was harassing them simply because I was trying to find out, again, what group they were with, why this was important to them. So just wanted to give you guys a little update from outside of the courthouse. I have my pen and paper because the rules are so strict for media in this courthouse that there is no filming allowed inside. There's no phones. There's no cameras allowed. Remember that a woman was already kicked out on Monday for attempting to film potential jurors. However, this judge really trying to keep things under lock and key, with one of the jurors today even saying, quote, Judge Roach is really scary. So that's all I've got for you guys. This is day 3.
Yeah, Judge Roach is really scary. That man, that white man, gay as they come. I can see it written all over his motherfucking face. He playing a role to appear scary. So when he go ahead and give him that life sentence without the possibility of parole, you already knew what was coming down the pipeline because he had his decision made up already. Jury seated in Karmelo Anthony unalivement trial after immigration questions sparked pushback. All black jurors dismissed. 12 juries and 6 alternatives have been chosen for Karmelo Anthony unalivement trial. It started with 589 and then it just shrunk on down.
Opening statements are set for tomorrow in the trial of a former Frisco ISD student accused of murdering a fellow student at a track meet. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Steve Eager. It's 9 o'clock. Karmelo Anthony is charged with murder for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf last year. The 12-person jury plus 6 alternates were selected today. Just over 10% of Collin County's population is black. There will be no black jurors. Before the final jury was seated, the defense objected to the final.
10%? Like 10% and there's no black jurors. Like, doesn't that remind you of the Supreme Court overturning the 1969 Voters' Rights Act, where they just did away with Section 2 and the lines and how they're going to redistrict? Mind you, the Supreme Court is supposed to be making decisions that last for 100, 150 plus years, right? 2023, they made a big mistake. Oh my gosh, we made a mistake in Alabama. Not only did these Negroes got a voting district, but we gave them a second one, and now it's 2 black Negroes in Congress from one state. Where that do that at? That's never happened before. So let's go ahead and make another decision to undo all of this shit. And now these states are redrawing their lines and shit. Boxing niggas in and just it's getting smaller and smaller. I'm telling you, by the time we look up and they done drawing the motherfucking maps, the goddamn black community is going to look like the favelas after a while.
Final 3 black candidates being struck by the prosecution. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is here to explain what it all means for the trial. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, before the jury was seated, the issue of race in the jury selection process was brought up by the defense. Karmelo Anthony's defense team argued that some potential jurors may have been unfairly struck because of race. This is what's called a Batson challenge in legal terms. But the judge denied it, saying prosecutors gave race-neutral explanations. Today morning, potential
Yeah,
jurors.
and that judge is talking about that little charade game that they played when the black juror, when that black man, I can't send a brother to prison for the rest of his life. Then close your motherfucking mouth and get on that juror. Fuck is you talking about? That was your opportunity, your moment to do one for the books. And I'm not talking about all these black people on the trial knowing OJ did that shit and finding him not guilty because you mad and angry. It's to have your voice heard. And I like to compare that to, I'm at UCLA and I'm walking in campus doing my thing and they see a black man and then these motherfuckers doing experiments, talking about anthropology and put a gun in my hand. And I cock that bitch and I show them I know how to use it. And I pointed at them and all this other stuff. And I teach them about it and educate it. And they ask me questions. Oh, yeah, I go hunting with this. How do you feel with this gun in your hand? Do you feel powerful? I feel like I can go out and hunt for my family. I feel like if somebody break into my house, then I'll be able to protect them. I feel like, man, I want to go to the target practice range. Do you want to come with me? Trying to run research and studies on me. Bitch, I blew their mind apart trying to sit up there and give me a gun like I'm supposed to turn to a thug and be inflamed and feel like I got the juice. Bitch, everybody ain't got the juice. Everybody ain't with that shit, okay? Everybody ain't got the blicky. They got 9 lives on that bitch and say they got the juice. This ain't Tupac. I ain't Tupac, bitch. I'm an upstanding citizen. I'm like the white folks when I grab a gun. Oh, Billy Bob, you want to go to your shooter?
Returned to the Collin County Courthouse. Attorneys for both sides each got 1 hour and 45 minutes to question the reduced panel. They were questioned on a variety of topics, including their views on race, how they feel about serving on this case, and whether they would hold it against the defendant if he chose not to testify on his own behalf. The defense also tried to gauge if the potential jurors would be uncomfortable giving Karmelo Anthony a lower sentence if there's a guilty verdict.
Question prospective jurors in this way, what we're left with is a jury that can approach the evidence fairly with an open mind, apply the law as the judge instructs it to the evidence, and then as was noted today, move on to a sentencing phase of the trial as well.
Anthony is accused of fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf last year at a Frisco ISD track meet. Witnesses say the two got in an argument and Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest. Metcalf died in his twin brother's arms. Police say Anthony claimed he acted in self-defense. The high-profile case has become racially charged, fueled in large part by online speculation, rumors, and misinformation. Race and jury selection became a focus in court Wednesday after defense attorneys raised what's called a Batson challenge, a legal objection used when one side believes potential jurors were removed because of race. The defense attorneys raised concern about 3 black women who were potential jurors, the only black people left to potentially be on the jury.
Damn.
The party challenging the strike at that point is going to have to prove purposeful discrimination.
Anna Offit is a law professor at Southern Methodist University and not involved in the case. She teaches courses on criminal law and a seminar on juries. Offit says Batson challenges are rarely made and they're rarely successful.
The reason for that is it is not very challenging for a party to be able to come up with a number of neutral reasons, other reasons that a strike might have been exercised.
The prosecution said the 3 jurors were struck because they were all educators. The stabbing happened.
What? The 3 jurors were struck because they're all educators? That's fucking stupid. Like, that's the reason to keep them. They're educators. They deal with students on a daily basis. First of all, you ain't got nobody black on the juror that can actually tell you white proud boys and white people that live in y'all motherfucking palaces and all this shit that don't have no reality, no interaction with black people other than what you see on the news. You don't have that, but then there are educators too that deal with students on a day-to-day and you struck them. See, that's the problem. See, they mad. That judge is mad because Karmelo got a bond by a black woman. That judge is also mad because Karmelo got his diploma even though he was expelled. And the principal at Senator in the high school is a black woman. And now you left with number white people and Asian people that's gonna do any and everything. And then you think them motherfucking people, they was instructed not to watch this video or this about this case. You don't think they ain't seen Mr. Child and shot this 14-year-old black boy in the back and got away with it? Desensitization of the Asian people, we don't give a fuck about them. So as long as they can come and eat some crab legs and get their hair nails and all this other shit done, and them Proud Boys in Texas ain't worried about number collecting black bodies to get sweat equity label. And we seen the Julio Fulio trial to Florida when those boys was facing the death penalty, and a warden came over and said, oh no, we need them. We got an Asian prison pipeline, prison population, and we need them young bodies to work like motherfucking slaves. I bet that judge over Karmelo Anthony case, I bet you he got some stock equity in them prisons and shit throughout Texas. Is you cool? Like, Karmelo is cooked. He's fucking cooked. We know it. We all know it. You think these white people who give birth to these ass wipes, like Austin Metcalf, who want to be a bully and exercise white supremacists and perpetuate that shit that his parents had started, bitch. You think Judge Roach, you don't think that bitch got a pointed hat and a Nazi plate somewhere? Is you cool? Like, dead ass. There's underlying bets on this shit. But again, the best thing that I can see for Karmelo Anthony is him being used as the poster child for black boys. You just make a mistake. You can be reformed. Come on over here and join the military if you ain't got no way out.
At a school function involving students. Ultimately, the judge presiding over the case, John Roach, denied the defense's challenge, saying the state had race-neutral reasons. As a court spokesperson confirmed, this means there are no black jurors on the panel. And depending on the outcome of the trial, this Batson challenge and jury selection process could come into question for any possible appeals.
When Batson concerns have been raised on appeal?
No, it's not going to be raised on appeal. Yesterday, I told y'all, when that prosecutor stood there and sweet talk and empathize with that black man that said, I don't want to see a brother go to jail, he boasted the record. And when they file an appeal and one of their claims is that there's no black people on the jury, they're going to go back to them court-reported transcripts and show that the prosecutor was fair and due diligent and took his time. But that nigga, the whole time they was looking for a dumbass nigga to come out there. And oh my God, I know you don't want to send a brother to prison, and that's okay. But you know, we're not racist. Oh, thank you so much for doing this, because you just gave us the right to say we didn't interject race in the case. The jury did it. And now the defense wants to question it. It's the jury's decision. Used him as a strike. Get your ass up out of here. We don't want no niggas in here at all. At all is what the fuck they said. And you gonna lose on appeal because they played in your face. Using a black man on the jury. We don't want no brothers to go to prison. They knew you thought that in the first place. The only reason any niggas was summoned out of them 598 people to come there is because they had to appear impartial. That's it.
Bill is exactly this sort of inquiry into, right, or prospective jurors being asked the same questions, the same types of questions substantively, the same number of follow-up questions, right? It may not be enough to say these prospective jurors have been stricken because of their particular occupation.
No electronics are allowed in the courtroom. The public was not able to hear both sides ask potential jurors questions. At the end of Wednesday, 12 jurors and 6 alternates were chosen. The judge instructed them to report to the courthouse at 7:30 on Thursday morning.
Thank you, Rob.
And court will be held until 6 p.m. Judge Roach told jurors court will be held on Saturdays as well.
Damn.
In hopes of getting the case wrapped up by June 12th. Karmelo Anthony was...
Hey, that man says, we coming in this bitch on Saturday. Yes, indeed. My Klan rally right here. My Saturday Klan rally is going to be right here in the courtroom.
In the courtroom today, he was wearing a suit and tie with a purple shirt, purple being the chosen color his supporters have been wearing to court as well. He also looks different than the last time we saw him publicly. His hair is now closely cropped. He had a stoic expression throughout today's proceedings and did appear to take notes at times. Opening statements are set to begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. Heather, Steve.
Amelia Jones, thank you.
Fox 4 will bring you extensive coverage of the Karmelo Anthony trial. For the latest court developments, go to fox4news.com, our social pages, and the free Fox Local app.
So it's about lunchtime over there right now. So, you know, I know Nick at NyQuil didn't make it in the court with a hollow toasted smelling breath of ass. But somebody finna come out here and tell us what happened during opening statement. So let's go ahead to see if we got any. This lady right here, Mary Ann Martinez, she seems to be in the courtroom and tweeting live from it. Oh, she's at the Daily Mail. Yes, indeed, 58 minutes ago. So they're going to be coming out soon, 21 minutes ago. Like, Karmelo Anthony was scheduled to participate in track and field events the day of the stabbing and took the school bus there, according to his defense attorney. This is important because there had been previously been widespread misinformation that Anthony had skipped school to be at the track meet and wasn't even supposed to be there. I'm glad that they clarified that. Okay, let me go to a couple of these YouTubers. I feel like when they said that some woman was in the bathroom asking people to pay to get inside the court case, I feel like that was Nick at NyQuil. See, me, if I was there, I'd have had it turned the fuck up outside the court. Okay, it would have been turned up, and I would have asked them niggas, are y'all ready to die about this? If not, stop being on the motherfucking germs. Let's give a more, let's go into a more detailed explanation of what happened inside the court from the perspective of Queen Sheba. Darling, I don't know if she 38 hot because they ain't let her in the court building, okay? Not you done flew out there to get this content. They ain't let your black ass in that bitch.
Of minimizing any type of confusion. And they didn't have a lot of questions around the law, but that's where I feel the state has an advantage. The defense is ready to go. You can tell. You can tell he's a defense attorney, right? He's technical. He's savvy. He's tricky. That's the word I want to use. He's tricky, not dishonest, but tricky. Because he knows how to get in there and completely disrupt anything or any foundation that the state may try to lay down. He introduced a lot of components, I'm telling you, that completely blew my mind. Things that I didn't know were perfectly legal. Things that you probably didn't know. The question I think that we all have is, why would Karmelo Anthony take a knife, right, to a school event? Well, the defense explained. He said, you have a constitutional right in the state of Texas to carry. And the state of Texas grants you the right to open carry guns, to carry openly guns, right? So we're like, yeah, and I'm learning this and I'm listening. I'm like, yeah, you have a right to open carry. He said, did you know, and or are you aware that that same law gives you the right or gives way to carry a small knife? Look, tricky, a small knife under 5.5 inches into a public place. I'm like, what? And I'm sure the jury was like, what? So some of the jurors said, we did not know that it's perfectly legal. He said, even if you're a teenager, it is perfectly legal under the same law, just like some of you carry your guns, it's perfectly legal for a teenager to carry a knife.
Not on no school bus.
Even a teen, into a public place. I guess I consciously, I guess if I think about it, and for those of you that are tuned in, if you think about it, I said, well, I'll be damned. Because the moral question that many of us have been faced with is, why did he have a knife, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. But I don't think any of us knew because he could. And it's his right. Because most of us would say, hold on, I don't think I would be comfortable with my teen having a knife in their bag. And that's where the defense points them back to the law. It doesn't matter what we think, right? The law is the law. So then he goes on and he says, do any of you as jurors, or how many of you as jurors would be biased? How many of you think this law is crazy? Now that you know Karmelo Anthony was not acting in a criminal way and that him having a knife is lawful, how many of you think this is crazy? You don't like this law? He said, now that you know it's not engaging in criminal activity, how many of you would still peg Karmelo Anthony as being wrong? Well, quite a few jurors took up issue with that. And one gentleman, I do believe, what juror was it? I'll come to that. Juror number 64 says, I don't care about the law. The fact that he had that knife in his backpack, I would still view him as engaging in criminal activity. And that was juror number 64. He was also dismissed today. Okay, so let me go back to the beginning. The government, according...
Boom, got it. Got it right here. Got it right. Case closed. Case closed. Okay. Texas House Bill 1862. Significant changes began in 2013 when Texas lawmakers decided to loosen some restrictions on September 1st, 2013. House Bill 1862 took effect, legalizing the possession and carry of switchblades, automatic knives that open with the push of a button. Prior to this change, switchblades were completely banned under Texas law. Although this reform allowed more freedom, knives with blades longer than 5.5 inches remain restricted in certain areas. House Bill 1935, the most substantial shift in Texas knife laws occurred in 2017 with the passing of House Bill 1935. This bill removed the category of illegal knives altogether, making it legal to own and carry virtually any type of knife, regardless of the size. This includes Bowie knives, machetes. Bitch, it might not be no Haitians around because they like to eat the cats and they eating the dogs, according to Trump. And they will chop you into motherfucking pieces. But despite this significant overhaul, House Bill 1935 introduced the concept of location-restricted knives. A location-restricted knife is any knife with a blade longer than 5.5 inches. These knives can legally be owned and carried, but there are limitations on whether they can be taken. You cannot carry them into school buildings and campuses. So you mean to tell me that you can take a knife as long as it's under 5.5 inches into the school? You got me fucked up, bitch. I'm taking my school child out of public school. I don't feel safe. And I'm a nigga saying that. Wonder what them white folks over there saying. And you a nigga that done stabbed at this boy. Boy, you going to prison. Oh, listen. Minors under 18 years old are not allowed to buy location-restricted knives. So location-restricted knives, a location-restricted knife is any knife with a blade longer than 5.5 inches. Okay. Location-restricted knives cannot be purchased by minors. So Karmelo had a knife under 5.5 inches. Okay. And it's illegal for anyone to sell these knives to them. Additionally, minors are not permitted to carry knives with blades longer than 5.5 inches unless they own the property, yada, yada, yada. So, okay, it was legal for him to carry a knife. But listen, this is where reasonable minds have to infer. This is where you say, okay, the law says it's legal, but do I want to make a decision to say it's okay to carry a knife to school? Absolutely not. Is you fucking crazy? Fuck wrong with you, bitch. If I had a child and my child say that somebody come home to me and say that somebody pulled the knife out on them, it was 2 inches, 1 inch, or even the same size as Diddy clitorius, because you know that nigga got a Tootsie Roll, bitch, I'm going to that school and beating the fuck out of your child for playing with mine like that. Is you cool? You gotta be fucked up, bitch. I don't give a fuck about the law. I'm gonna be in jail. If my child come home and say a nigga now pulled the knife out on them, okay, if they in elementary, bitch, I'm finna go down there and get on my knees to be the same size as them. Bitch, I'm gonna be like Roscoe from Martin and beat the fuck out your child for playing with mine. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be in jail if my child come home and say some child and pulled the knife out on them, bitch. You ain't got to worry about the police. I'm the police, the judge, the jury, the executioner, bitch. I'm not gonna be like these niggas outside the court blowing the fucking horn. Bitch, I'm gonna tell you to call the police and call the police mammoth. You and your child can get it for pulling the knife out on mine.
To the defense, they pointed out to the potential jurors that the government has a duty of proving their case. That's not the job of the defense. That burden of proof lies on the government. And his question to the jurors is, did you know that? Did you know we don't have to talk? We don't have to ask any questions. We don't have to cross-examine. The burden of proof is on him. Most of the jurors said, no, I was not aware of that. So then he went on to say, well, he was going to transition into a different point, but juror number 269 says, wait a minute, it's going to be hard for me to follow that as a juror in a case like this, because if the defendant doesn't say anything, you mean to tell me he's up for a murder trial and he's not going to testify, or he's not going to explain to us his reasoning why? And so that juror was very honest. They said, I'm not going to be able to put that aside in deliberations. I'm going to carry that with me, and I'm going to be biased against Karmelo because you're up for murder. What do you mean you're not going to testify? You're not going to speak? And then the defense said, well, I understand that. But my question to you is, that's the law. Are you aware that's the law? They said, I know it now, but I'm still going to be biased because I would want to know why. They go on, and the defense reminds juror number 269, the law says that you cannot take your personal biases into the deliberation room. You have to be able to set it aside. So then the juror said, well, let me ask you a question. Is it up to you, or is it up to him to decide if he testifies? The defense said, we make a recommendation, but ultimately it's up to the defendant. It's up to the defendant to decide if they testify. The juror was very savvy. He says, are y'all going to tell us that? Like, if he doesn't testify, are you going to tell us why? Are you going to say he wanted to testify, but I advised him not to? And the defense attorney said, no, we don't give you that information. And that's the thing. You can't make an assumption. That's why we are emphasizing and really, really honing in that you cannot take any biases into the deliberation room with you. And that juror says, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. I cannot put that aside. So then you have juror number 180, juror number 159 said they both admitted to having personal biases because they said, listen, I think it was juror number 159 said, listen, I don't buy this crap. Not in those words. I'm not buying it. Because if you were innocent, you would be yelling it from the rooftop. So why would you not want to testify? Juror number 168.
Listen, I hold the same sentiments, bitch. You arrest me and with some bullshit, okay, bitch. I'm finna cuss out the judge, cuss out the prosecutor, bitch. Fuck all y'all bitches. I don't give a fuck about you. You donut eating ass bitch. Bitch, let's go to trial. And I'm gonna be on my best behavior in front of the jury. And I'm gonna testify on my own behalf. I'm gonna drag the judge, drag the prosecutor, drag the accuser and everybody. Bitch, the jury gonna be laughing when I'm done testifying, and they gonna say not guilty, motherfucker.
Oh, Lord. Says, I would need more details from the defense. I know you say it's the law, and the burden of proof is on the government to prove their case, but I'm a human being, and I'm telling you right now, I would need more information from you to get past my personal opinion. So I can't set that aside. I won't be able to set it aside.
I'm a firm believer. If you innocent, bitch, I'm ready to testify. I'm ready. Let's go to trial. I'm not waiving no right to no speedy trial. I'm not listening to no lawyer. Oh, they're gonna grill you. I don't give a fuck about them grilling me. They're gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad that they even tried to question me. But see, everybody's not mentally capable of doing that. Okay, come on, bitch. Let's testify, bitch. I'm not nervous at anything. And if I am, it's just a role that I'm playing in front of the jury.
Juror number 339 says, I understand the law, but I would definitely expect Karmelo Anthony or you as a defense attorney to make it make sense to me because this is a murder trial, right? Juror number 50. That's a strong potential juror. This is a 20-year combat vet who's recently retired from the military. Oh, he's a strong juror. And the state would be crazy not to take him because he stood up. He said, I understand the law, and I'm able to make decisions based on evidence. I took an oath to protect the Constitution of the United States of America. I took one oath and I took one vow. And when he said vow, we all started laughing. He means to his wife. And they said, can you follow the rules or instructions? He said, I'm military. It's easy for me to follow instructions. So I think If the state, if the government is smart, they're probably going to snag juror number 50 and put him as a juror because he used the buzzwords and he takes his
And
job.
shout out, this is Queen Sheba Darling. Let me make her name visible so y'all, when I'm not live and y'all want actual updates, I'm giving commentary on top of her content. I met her at the Diddy trial. She's pretty thorough and pretty good at what she do. So y'all go and support her. Not Neek at NyQuil. I believe that bitch was in the bathroom begging for access, and they said no to her on the principle that her breath smelled like shit.
Serious to protect the constitutional right to protect. I took an oath, and he was using words like that. I said that's a strong candidate, right? He has not been dismissed yet. Give me 1 second. It's a little windy. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I can work this thing out. All right. All right. So then the defense shifts to what is reasonable to you? What is reasonable doubt to you? And no, yeah, that's what he said. He said it's the government's responsibility to rule out every logically possible reasonable doubt. And if there's one that they have not satisfied, then that would give you the right to vote not guilty, to issue a not guilty verdict. It doesn't matter how minute, how small. If the government, if you just cannot, if they didn't, it could be so small. That means it's not guilty, right? So this is what he's saying to them. Juror number 13 took the mic and said, well, can you give me an example of what a reasonable doubt can be? The defense replied, I can't tell you that. You have to decide that. We, the state, me, the court, we cannot define that for you. The defense then goes to say, under oath, how many of you feel that if Karmelo Anthony does not take the witness stand, that you're going to hold it against Karmelo? Well, juror number 120, number 44, number 126, number 124 says, listen, we're going to hold it against him. If Karmelo Anthony does not take the stand and testify in this self-defense trial or in this murder trial, we are going to hold it against him in that deliberation room. Even if you say it's wrong, we're going to hold it against him.
That's illegal.
The defense then asked those jurors, can you follow the rules? If the law is you can't hold it against him and he doesn't have the burden of proof of taking a stand, even if it doesn't seem logical, you don't need both sides in a criminal case. The government, has the burden of proof? Those jurors did not change their mind. And when I tell you they stood on business, they said, it doesn't matter what you're saying. I am going to carry a bias into that deliberation room. So if Karmelo Anthony doesn't want to talk, if Karmelo Anthony thinks he's going to sit here and not testify, you better not pick me. You better not pick me. And I can tell you, I do believe all of them have been dismissed. Okay? Not all of them, but quite a few. I'm sorry. Quite a few of them have been dismissed. So then the defense said, let's talk about why a person would not testify if they are being accused of murder. So a few of the jurors gave examples. Some of the examples were, maybe they're not good presenters. Maybe some of them are not as eloquent in speaking. Maybe some of them clam up, big crowds, whatever. Juror number 12 says, well, it doesn't matter to me why you wouldn't. How come you wouldn't stand up for yourself, basically as a man? And what I was able to really quickly assess is many of the women seem to identify and understand why Karmelo Anthony may not testify, but a great majority of the men seem to take issue with it. A great majority of the men, that doesn't sit right with them, and they shared that openly. So on one side, you have an empathetic group of women that said,
yeah, because I ain't even gonna lie, where me and the Proud Boys actually can agree on some shit is bitch, if I'm innocent, bitch, I'm finna get up that bitch and tell y'all, I'm finna get up that bitch and defend myself. You gotta understand, this is what America is built on. Defending yourself, defending your freedoms, your right. This is what the Constitution is built on. People have died defending the Constitution. You have a constitutional right. Why not take advantage of it? So, I ain't even gonna lie. This is where I see where the white men specifically would take, what the fuck? Slavery is over, where y'all niggas didn't have no fucking voices, and now you got voices and you're in the court of law. You have a constitutional right for me to hear your perspective, and you're not gonna let me know what's going on? I would take offense to that too. But would I mention it? No. It'd have been in the back of my head, just like that black man that I can't send a brother to jail. Nigga, you should have kept that shit to yourself. And plays a role. I personally would be offended if I'm in a court of law and a defendant is saying that they're innocent and they're letting these lawyers, people with these degrees and shit come up there and defend me. I'm like, and then on top of that, most people do it with a public defender. That's their job, to defend you. Regardless if you're innocent or guilt. Their job is to make it look like you're as innocent as possible, and you're not going to address me. I feel like you're disrespecting me, motherfucker. I feel like you just gave me the right away to say you're guilty because you had the opportunity to address me. Fuck what the state attorney and them gonna do. Me, I'm gonna torn the pants out of them. Bitch, I'm gonna have them mad as fuck that they even brought this case to trial playing with me. That's how bad I love my constitutional right. So I can understand why these men specifically would be offended. These are patriots. I would be offended if you don't exercise a constitutional right that not only black people, but even white people in 1776 fought for your ass to be able to call yourself American. There's countries to where people don't even have the right or the opportunity to testify. You're not going to use that? Are you fucking crazy? You're not going to exercise your First Amendment? I would take offense to that as well, too.
Kid, he's a kid, I can understand. Sometimes people don't present as well, but then you have these men, right, that have served this country, men that have different backgrounds that are saying, but why would you not defend yourself? What do y'all think about that? Okay, so we talked about the Texas law, and you have a constitutional right. You know what? I gotta come back to that you have a constitutional right to carry a knife. I knew that subconsciously, but I think we were all baffled. If we tell the truth, right? If we just sit here and have a reasonable conversation, I think that was the number one question for most of us, no matter what side of the fence you sit on. Why did the kid have a knife in his bag? And
Somebody said, well, the boy is intelligent and won't get tripped up, then yes. What do you mean tripped up? They're going to bring, here's a picture of you holding this up. You're holding a gun and you're letting some shit on fire. You posted this. Why did you post this? Because I'm a square and I'm really not about that life. And my parents keep me sheltered in the household and I go to school and other black kids, I see them do it and I did it. I'm not really about this lifestyle. You gonna be prideful under the color of light? No, you need to tell the truth. Be like Sean Gathright, you know, who posing with his sister, got his back and shit bent up, knowing he finna take plenty of stick in prison after he done unalive Julio Fulio. You need to let people understand who you are. If Sean Gathright did not testify on behalf of himself, all of those boys from the Julio Fulio trial would have been electrocuted. They would have got the death penalty. That's what I think. But being in court is not a time and a place to act like you're about that life. You even see the toughest gangsters fold under pressure and snitching on their niggas, even though they get out here and rap about it and be on social media acting like they the biggest, toughest fucking gangsters. We see it all the time. Like, fuck that. Like, why did you take this picture to act like this? And this is the projection that you see because it's a projection that I wanted you to see. But in reality, my parents are Christians and they shelter me and they don't like that I post these pictures because I'm fake breaking. I got a young brother. I got a baby brother who is not the youngest. My baby brother is Baby Boy. Okay, y'all know Baby Boy the movie. That's my youngest brother. He gonna always be the baby boy. But I got a youngest brother that, this nigga, you don't even go outside. Why is you posting these pictures like you gang and shit? You don't even go the fuck outside. And just imagine he get into the court of law. And I know you, and I know you posted this picture because you want all these people to believe that you really about that life when you're not. So what do you mean getting tripped up? He can discredit this demonization of him based upon the social media images of him posted up or whatever. And we look at white boys like Austin Metcalf. They got guns and stuff, but they got hogs and they got hunting gear on. So that tells a very different story than a black boy with a BB gun acting like he tough. And he's just acting like he tough because he want to fit in and dealing with peer pressure. Why wouldn't you want to testify today? I mean, that's the truth that goes on in black community. I mean, we already know Karmelo Anthony is a pussy. I mean, you stabbed somebody and ran. The fuck you mean? You stabbed somebody and ran. How pussy do it get?
That the defense said, it doesn't matter why. He didn't break the law. Publicly, he can carry a knife, just like you can carry a gun, even if he is a teenager. And I was like, well, I'll be damned. I never looked at it like that. That is not considered engaging in criminal activity. And like I said, I try not to give too much thought and have too much of a personal opinion because I want to come in this thing and get the facts, right? I feel like there's a lot missing from this case. And I try not to listen to social media because I feel like many of you say a lot of things based on your own personal biases and your own prejudice. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go to that courtroom. I need to hear the facts. I need to hear the evidence. And part of the evidence is the law. Damn, he can carry a knife. All right. All right. So what else? I talked about the prosecution being able to articulate well. I think Mike Howard, this is what I think the defense may have a challenge with. Mike Howard is going up against the state. And I believe this is a damn good prosecutor. This is just my personal opinion, right? This is me being able to read the room. I think he has his work cut out for him. If we're just talking legal strategy, state versus defense. And Mike, I don't know if y'all are listening, you're going to have to be able to articulate a little bit better. You're going to have to be able to make it make sense. You're going to have to be able to present it where it's clear, it's easy to understand, and it's straightforward, okay? The defense, Mike Howard, then went to no duty to retreat. And basically, when he talked about the self-defense is similar to stand your ground, right? You don't have a duty to retreat in an area that you have a right to be in. Although you tuned in and me, they say, you know what, I'm gonna just walk away to de-escalate things. He says, but the law doesn't require you.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody said he can't dispute. They would use his words against him. I don't give a fuck about you using my words. Is it a crime to cuss a bitch out? No, that's just what I'm doing. Like, that has no significance. No. I thought it was cool. Peer pressure or whatever. What do you mean? Like, if you innocent, ain't no curveball that they can throw at me to make me feel like they gonna get me jammed the fuck up. If you're innocent at all. And they try to play these games and these charade tactics. I would have testified, yeah.
Retreat. So his question then to the jury is, how many of you feel that folks should walk away and not stand their ground? Oh my God, we got some trolls. And a few people said, I believe you should walk away. And he said, would you follow the law? Whoa, another bug, sorry. If the law says you don't have to
getting bit up like that. What's that newscaster nigga that was saying, get me out of that country ass town after a goddamn horse fly flew in my
walk away and you can stand your ground. Would you, just because you would walk away, would you hold it against somebody else? Or would you hold it against other jurors to try to convince them that they should do what you would have done? Juror number 772 said, listen, a white male, he said, I'm not keen on conflict. I would walk away. I would walk away. Yeah. So the defense asked him, would you expect everybody else to walk away? Juror number 199 says, I can't accept that law. I can't accept that law.
Out of there.
And I know the law says that you can stand your ground, you don't have to leave to de-escalate, but I think I would hold a bias in the deliberation room.
Out of there.
Juror number 259, he raised a question around self-defense. He said, hold on, let me make sure I say it right. He says, if we go with self-defense, does that make it no longer murder? Does that mean that Karmelo or the person would not be guilty of murder? Does that mean that I would have to believe that Karmelo Anthony was defending himself?
That's a great question.
That was a really good question. The defense switched his strategy. And he says, I have a question on my PowerPoint around immigration law. And although this trial is not about immigration law, I have a question for you all. What is your attitude? What is your feeling around the current immigration policies in the United States of America from a scale of 1 to 10? 1 means I love it, 10 means it's bad, I don't like it. They asked him to clarify it. Wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Immigration law, it doesn't make sense. Can you make it make sense for us? He said, yeah, with the recent ICE behavior, activities, the recent enforcements by ICE, you had some very extreme answers. I'll just randomly call out some. Number 22 said, I love our immigration laws. I'll give it a 1. Remember, 1 means I love it, 10 means I hate it. Number 27 said, I don't feel comfortable giving you a number. I need more information. I need to know where you're trying to go with this. Juror number 5 says, I'm going to say 8. Juror number 2 says, I'm going to give it a 5. Juror number 43 says 10, 48 says 6, 37 says 7, so on and so forth. Then they went to the punishment phase. And you started talking about punishment. And in the state of Texas, it could range anywhere from 5 to 99 years, but the state is asking for the higher end.
So she got in the courtroom with her funk ass.
Enter into the stadium. It showed the victim and his brother enter into the stadium. It showed the tent that they were under and so much more. They also did opening statements before we started to see any type of footage or anything like that. Opening statements was 20 minutes for each side. The defense took 20 minutes. The prosecution took 20 minutes. And when they gave their opening statements, there was a stark contrast on both sides. So first and foremost, the defense went up and the prosecution went up first and his co-counsel did the opening statements where he painted Karmelo Anthony as a senseless murderer. You know, he said that Karmelo Anthony provoked the victim into putting his hands on him. So he's saying that, you know, the victim in a case, he provoked him because he didn't leave when they told him to. So basically, they told him to leave, and he didn't leave, and he told them that they better not touch him or whatever, or watch what happens if you touch me. That's provoking them to put their hands on him. So then once they put the hands on him, then he, you know, used his weapon. He grabbed in his bag, used his weapon, and the whole incident happened in a matter of 4 minutes. So the victim and his brother entered into the tent 2 minutes prior to Karmelo Anthony entering in the tent. The defense said that he didn't enter the tent because he wasn't supposed to be there, as far as like the way that they're trying to shape it, but he entered into the tent because he recognized one of his friends. He went to say hello to one of his friends, and he went to go sit down. As soon as he went to go sit down, it is being alleged that the twins came up to him and told him, "You got to go. You got to get up out of here." And he told them, no, he's not leaving. He's not getting up out of there at all. Now, that's what's happening on the inside of the courtroom. You guys know I took a lot of notes. I'm going to be giving you guys a very detailed breakdown. I tried to jot down as much as I can as far as what the prosecution and defense are saying and alleging. We're going to give the facts. Now, outside, there is protests on
Look
both
at her.
sides
She looking
happening
for the
right now.
mess.
There are people here that are supporting Karmelo Anthony, and then there are people who don't appear to be a part of Austin's family, but rather serving a white supremacist agenda and trying to basically put fear in Black people. So you see them kind of like trying to Black, like, you know, looking all of us up and down, mad dogging us, trying to make their presence known. One guy's walking around with a Confederate flag, and it's like intimidation tactics that's trying to happen. I'm gonna pan the camera so you guys can kind of see what's going on. So I don't have much time
If
before
I
it's
was there,
time
that
to
bitch
go
would have
back
been
in,
turned up.
but I just kind of want y'all to see the atmosphere that's going on outside and all the people. You said I'm breaking up?
That shit outside the court would have been turned if I was there. Y'all know it.
So he's been walking around with his flag all around.
Man, they ain't about that life. They need to not out there, bitch. And y'all know I would have had them out there turned. Man, they ain't about that life.
Right, and then this guy right here, he was with the girl Sarah that was like trying to talk a lot of mess. So there's one female that's trying to like rage bait and make this a racial thing. That guy right there is with her. He was mad dogging me too, trying to look me up and down. But I'm gonna get back over to the court side. Here is the officers across the street. All of the sheriffs have been nice, actually.
They playing
Like,
their
they have
role,
been
child.
completely nice.
They playing their
This
role.
is what it looks like across the street. And then this is what it looks like on this side.
She don't know how to be messy
over
like me.
here.
I'd have had them bitches out there sweating.
And then there's news media all around. So you said watch my back. Obvious, clearly. Yeah, these people right here, child. They all got on body cam footage. Yeah, I'm being careful. So I'm walking back down away from the crowd. But yeah, that's the atmosphere that's going on down here. There's a lot of news media like across. So as you can see, this is the news media right here.
Man, I'd
And
have
it's
had
pretty
that be a
quiet towards
turn.
the steps. Most of the protest and stuff is going on at the end. I don't know if y'all can see my fit, but fit check.
Girl, we don't care.
I'm gonna have to have somebody hold it so y'all can see.
Where your uncle at?
Y'all can see. But they showed the surveillance. Oh, so what I wanted to say about the surveillance, and again, we're going to go into this a lot more in depth later because they already have the first witness on the stand. They already, they're admitting evidence and everything like that. The tents, like when people were describing the tents, I'm thinking like a sheltered, enclosed tent. They were not under like a tent. They were under a canopy. So if you guys know, like whenever, like say you go to a barbecue or you put up a canopy is open. So basically what was happening was there was a lot of rain. You saw in the video, you saw people in ponchos. You saw people with umbrellas. You saw kids that were like to the right of the tent. There was another tent to the left, and these tents are
She ain't about that
canopies.
life car.
So a lot of people, like the prosecution basically said like, oh, their tents are, where they keep their belongings so that people don't steal. There's literally no way for a person to steal because the tent was full of people. There was kids all around. There was kids to the left, to the right, walking around. Like, who gonna steal when all of these eyes it wasn't that type of setup at all. And they were only under the tent for 4 minutes total from introduction to seeing each other to the knife wound. Now, what the defense wanted to basically point out is this isn't something where he stabbed them multiple times. He didn't go and stab other people. He didn't try to do that. He defended himself and then he ran. So when he ran like out of the bleachers, and then you see him in the surveillance, he's like jumping down, running down the bleachers. And then as he runs down the bleachers, he runs to go run out. So when he runs out, like trying to run out of the field, there was kids that were chasing him from behind, and he ended up going up to one of the coaches. Now, as he's running out, there was a group of, it looked like black kids that were coming in for the track meet. They all had on like what looked like uniforms. Karmelo Anthony, he had on a light gray hoodie and some blue sweats. So he walks out of the bleachers. And then when he walks out of the bleachers, he's looking around. He goes back, like, I don't know if he was, waiting on somebody. And then once he reemerges again. He goes past one tent. Now, one tent / canopy. He walks past, and you can see it's packed, jam-packed with kids. They tried to make it seem like, oh, he didn't go to the first tent. He passed up a whole tent and went to the other one. The tent, when you look at it, or the canopy, this to come in, and basically what his job is to do is to look at the video, identify the suspect, which would be Karmelo Anthony, and the victim, which would be the brothers. And so he was supposed to like walk through, okay, when did Austin and his brother walk through? When did Karmelo walk through? And based on the video, they wanted to know, like, what was the resolution of the video? The video was a 4K video. It was a high resolution video. But what they explained to the jurors is that you can only get 4K video to come through a 4K TV. So the TVs in the courtroom are not 4K, but they said that they're going to bring a specialized 4K video, TV, so that they can watch the video. in 4K, and they can, so that they can see it better. So and another thing that the defense wanted to note was every single team had a tent except for Karmelo Anthony's school.
Oh, wow.
So it was several schools there for the track meet, and all of the other schools had their canopy tents. The only school that did not have a tent was Karmelo Anthony's school. So even if so it's not like his school had their tent and he went to the other people's tent. They didn't have a tent at all. He said the only thing that they had was a tarp. Okay. And so so he said, for whatever reason, he doesn't know why they didn't have a tent, but their school did not have a tent. Centennial High School did not have a tent. And so when he's walking around, he was waiting around, and he was there as a I think he's in varsity.
The sound is off.
The track meet was for junior varsity, but he went to help out with the school. And so the defense also wanted to note that all of the individuals that are going to testify are kids that went to that school, and he wanted to point out that all of them are friends of the victim. He said, once you're listening to testimony, you have to bear in mind that these are all friends and they are all going to the same school. The only person under the tent that did not go to that school was Karmelo Anthony. And he says the only reason why he went there is because he went to talk to a guy who he thought was his friend. Okay, that was the key words that his defense said. They said he went to talk to a guy who he thought was his friend.
Meaning
so
that guy's
it's going to be interesting to hear from all of these witnesses. They're all going to be teenagers who are going to be testifying. They have, like I said, the video video analyst who does video analyst for prosecution, district attorneys, that type of thing. He was able to enhance the video so that they can see an enhanced version. So right now, what we've watched so far was the raw footage. And once we go back in, they're going to show the enhanced footage. So in the enhanced footage that they plan to show, they have like a spotlight, and they follow him with a spotlight and stuff. Could bring that fire with you. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, other than that, it is very hot outside. Okay, it's hot outside, but this is the courthouse. All right, this is the courthouse. This is what's going on. And I'm gonna keep you guys updated. I wish there was somebody here that could show y'all my outfit, but it is what it is.
Where your peep at? You said they was in the cut.
My uncle ran inside real quick, so anyways. And once you go inside, there's no anyways. I'll show y'all later. All right, y'all. Peace.
That was a waste of time. And still ain't nobody want to engage with her. Queen Sheba, darling, she must not made the cut outside the courthouse. Let me see if there's an update from Mary Ann Martinez. It's 1 hour ago, 1 hour ago, 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Let me see. Let me check on Sarah, because Sarah is the person that they say is causing all of the drama with all of the white folks out there. Sarah Fields, okay. She's tweeting, but she's not going live. They're going to show footage from multiple angles in different moments before and after the stabbing, including the moment of the stabbing, which cannot be seen because it is under the tent and very dark. Shit, so they're gonna have to depend on those witnesses who actually seen the actual stabbing in order to put that into perspective. So Sarah Fields, no new updates. Let me see. Let me search Karmelo Anthony's name and click on latest so that we can get the latest news. Okay. What time is it? I need to go. Stand trials for Karmelo Anthony. Stand trials for the fatal stabbing of a white teenager, all-white jury, and racist concerns. Question. Okay. Oh, here's the protest, I guess. Hey, no action. It takes somebody like me to go there. So, they're just holding up signs in each other's face. So don't nobody win but the people that create Sharpies and these poster boards. Just like what they did with the George Floyd march. They go to Black Panthers. These niggas ain't about no real action out there, bitch.
Enough. Push you right into that crate. You heard what I said, cracker. Neanderthal, I don't give a fuck what you say.
No.
Y'all get up, you cracker. Fuck you, cracker. Fuck you.
That's crazy.
Let's get out of the road, please. Get out of the road, please. You still a cracker. You still a cracker. You a cracker, motherfucker. You a cracker. You a cracker. He a cracker. You a cracker. You a cracker. You ain't gonna get me, cracker. They've been trying to get me, cracker. You ain't gonna get me, cracker.
Man. What the hell? Karmelo Anthony, after the all-white jury quits him for attempted unalignment. First of all, it's not even attempted. That man is gone. They be.
Who killed Austin Metcalf?
Who? Austin Metcalf, Karmelo, self-defense.
That was not self-defense. That's disgraceful. That is disgraceful. That's disgraceful. Who killed Austin?
They let this white boy out of jail. The boy that went over and broke into the people's school. This one right here that caused all these problems.
And these woke judges are trying to set a two-tier standard of justice. So that's actually incorrect information. The exorbitant rate of $1.25 million bond for Chud the Builder is unprecedented.
Okay, and what do you have to say about Anthony?
Well, Karmelo Anthony, we understand that this man was not like an upstanding citizen. We've seen photos of him with guns. We've seen photos of him using drugs. We've seen photos of him giving kind of demonic faces, flipping off the camera, lighting lighters on fire. And so he was a troublesome kid, and he went to a track meet with a knife for no reason. I mean, I used to run track and field in high school. I never even heard of that. And so he had premeditated intentions to get into trouble. And when Austin Metcalf simply asked a young man to leave his tent because he wasn't part of that school and that team.
But now we find out that it was raining and his school didn't have no goddamn tent, which means that his school was the poor school of the district.
The man plunged a knife into his heart, and he needs to be tried for a death penalty. This needs to be set a standard in America that we cannot have young black men roaming around our streets racistly looking to victimize white people. We need to set the standard.
But we got white people doing the same thing. You throw these crackers in the garbage
and
right
the fact
here.
That he's out
He's
on
a problem
bond
person.
is a danger to society. The next mailman that goes to his door in his house all of a sudden could be jabbed with a knife as well. Karmelo Anthony should not be on the streets. And me being a January 6th political prisoner, I had no criminal record. I was held for 1,467 days without ever being given bond, not even a number that they gave me. And I have no criminal record, and I did not hurt anybody. To see this two-tier standard of justice that I suffered 4 years and 6 days in a prison cell, while this murderer is out running free, he's getting to play Xbox and eating Cheetos on his couch. it personally hurts my heart understanding what I had to go through in the deep state weaponization in Washington, D.C., and how he's being treated with kid gloves here in Texas.
And what are you hoping comes of this?
We need the death penalty. We need a swift and Austin Metcalf's life needs to be avenged, and Karmelo Anthony needs to be put to death.
And what would you like to say?
Well, white lives matter, and we're seeing in America right now this understanding that if you're white and you're being victimized, if you're being brutalized, that you do not have the same rights, not only in the courtroom, but the police officers. Henry Novak, this young man in England, he was stabbed by a Sikh, by a brown individual, and they actually handcuffed this man's hand behind his back. The video just came out yesterday, and let him bleed to death because he was alleged to have made a racist comment to the man. So the police immediately treated him as a perpetrator of the crime, while the man who stabbed him stood there and, basically said he was being racist and he attacked me first. Henry Novak's blood, Austin Metcalf's blood, Irina Zaruski's blood cries out for justice, and we need to set equal treatment under the law. The 14th Amendment. We cannot have one class of citizens being treated differently than another. Everybody deserves in America to have the same rights.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you.
I don't even have the energy to say nothing to this white man. He just too far and gone and exhausting. So what the fuck is? You spent 4 years in prison. You know you got cracked, boy. You got cracked in prison, nigga. And now you out here trying to be a terror. You against the gay people. You against black people. You just all over the goddamn place. And then you went right back to court over there with Chud the Builder and went to jail and just got out. And now you in Texas causing problems. Boy, you got cracked in jail. Boy, get up out of here with them little ass shorts you got on. Okay, so he was arrested for trespassing last year. Well, he was the only journalist ever to film the stab wound.
There is the blood stain. It's red still.
That's not. That's the blood stain. It's red. It happened on the bleachers, sir. So they drug his body down there and left it just sitting there.
Austin Metcalf.
Cloud chaser.
Blood. Lord Jesus, help us. It's crying out for justice. His killer is home right now.
Get your fat I'm good on you, anyways, y'all, I'm about to thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. We trying to crack into this algorithm over here because some shit finna pop off. Cause it's definitely different that I'm not
start
there.
Sketching button. Yeah, it'd be really cool if I could just use my glasses as the camera. Yeah. Neither side's going to believe whatever the other side says. There's actually a couple huge accounts on the news for the.
But they so boring.
Backup battery for that. Dude, it's so hot because
That is so boring. Damn, it takes somebody like me to be there to crank this shit up, boy. I'll be over there with the white folks, the black folk. We'll be having a civilized conversation out there, bitch. Nika and I said the blacks wasn't aggressive, but the Asians said they were, and the white were nice. See, that's the culture difference. They think black people aggressive, but we just advocate for ourselves, and we just give a little bit pushback against what the fuck they got going on. They say we're aggressive because they don't understand. They're not the same culture. Like, black people are passionate, a little bit more passionate and emotional than any other demographic of people, and they just don't understand it. They're not used to it, so they just equate that to aggression.
Try again later.
This man boring right here. Come on, man. I thought you
was super fucking hot though.
Come with the bells and the whistles. Nah, that ain't it. It takes somebody like me out there, bitch. Okay, you ain't got all this talking and all this shit, man. Y'all.
He was not an aggressor. Karmelo was not an aggressor.
Did you see the video in the court?
He was minding his damn business when the boys came up to him.
We declare, we decree, Karmelo Anthony will walk free. We declare,
they silence Karmelo and his family.
Anthony will walk free. We declare, we decree, Karmelo Anthony will walk free. We declare, we decree, Karmelo Anthony will walk free. We declare, we decree, Karmelo Anthony will walk free. We declare, we decree, Karmelo Anthony will.
In front of the Collin County Courthouse.
That's day 3. Let me see if she got an update. If not, we finna get up out of here. We'll finish this shit later. Lord have mercy. I'm starting. I need to cover these court cases, boots on the ground, bitch, because this shit will be completely different if I was in there, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. I'm about to take a nap and I'm gonna come back later. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised.
What is in your life's blueprint?